Everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. It is the 1st of April. A lot of April Fool's jokes going on, but we are all serious in business here on the Red Devil Experience. We got the latest Manchester United updates, transfer news, rumors, discussions, a couple things. It's been a while. It's been, I think, about a week since we last gone live, so a lot has sort of happened. We're not going to be able to talk about everything in the span of a week, because Manchester United, it's a lot. One day is a lot, okay? You're talking about 7 days. But we will talk mainly a lot, the big things. Harry Maguire apparently facing a ban. Imminent ban coming for Harry Maguire for his conduct in the way he conducted himself after receiving the red card, okay, in the match against the Bournemouth. The FA has charged him, and he has till April the 2nd to respond. So we're going to talk about that. The Marcus Rashford situation continues to teeter back and forth. His future is still up in the air. Barcelona have apparently until June 15th to trigger the 30 million option. United apparently have no plans to renegotiate or extend the loan, and Barca want to renegotiate or potentially extend the loan, or do both. Barca has a deal with Rashford. Barcelona cannot come to an agreement with Manchester United yet. So a lot of back and forth in there. So we're going to get into that as well. And we also got sort of the big news, obviously Elliot Anderson continues to rage forward. And Sandro Tonali has now taken sort of second place in this sort of midfield race. I mean, I did see one of the journalists update us the other day saying pretty much that, Elliot Anderson is plan A and Sandro Tonali is plan B. So there is a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. Obviously, we're still in the international break here and there, so forth. So, but we're getting back. And we will be back. I mean, United still have a little bit left till we play. April 12th, So, but, yeah, we will be back. We will be back soon. So, let's just sort of get into the brunt of things. I guess we'll start with this sort of, this Harry Maguire thing, because it's short and sweet, and we'll get it out of the way. But, yeah, apparently Ben Jacobs has tweeted out earlier this morning that the FA confirmed Harry Maguire has been charged for improper conduct after being sent off against Bournemouth. He has until April 2nd to provide a response. And this is the post from the FA, which says that regulation and discipline update. Harry Maguire has been charged after being sent off in the 78th minute of Manchester United FC's Premier League match against AFC Bournemouth on Friday, 20th March. It's alleged that the defender acted in an improper manner and or used abusive and or insulting words and or behavior towards the fourth official following his display. I'm just going to stop you right there, and I'm going to say fuck the fourth official. Harry Maguire has until Thursday, 2nd April, to provide a response. I will just say, fuck the FA, fuck that referee, fuck the VAR, and fuck the fourth official. I don't care about any of them. That whole thing was bullshit. And if they want abusive and or insulting words and or behavior towards the fourth official, I'll give it to them. They could go fuck themselves. This is a bunch of, top comment here. Somebody replied to that and said my response would be, fuck you, you corrupt C words. Okay? So, beautifully put. I think I would do the same as I just did. Not only did they rob us in that match, but now they've taken, what was that match? The 20th of March. So they've taken about 11 days, and now they've decided not only did Harry Maguire get a red card, and they got a penalty, and we didn't get a penalty. For like literally almost the same exact offense, I guess, in a similar fashion, very similar fashion. But they then have now also not only has he gotten a red card, but now they're going to now they're hitting him with a regulation and discipline update. And I will double down on telling them to go fuck themselves because of the simple fact of 3 members of the Manchester City squad / management have literally blatantly, in the public, called the refs cheats and corrupt and got next to no punishments given, but Maguire is going to get banned. Now, I don't know what Maguire said, word for word, but I'm sure he's probably called them a C word, or he's really told them, fuck you, or you're full of shit. I don't think Harry Maguire has like made anything that you would say is terroristic. He's clearly obviously didn't say something that's like racist or something like that. I don't think he said anything of like, I'm going to unalive you. So yeah, I mean, what? So he told the 4th official to go fuck himself or go fuck your mom or something. But Manchester City people can literally go in the public into a camera in front of the entire world for it to be clipped. And they can literally call you cheats and they can call you corrupt. They could call the refs cheats and corrupt. And they face 0 to next to nothing punishments. All right. But I mean, we all know this. Listen, if you wear a blue shirt and you're funded by Saudi Arabia, you somehow get away with everything. Not somehow. We all know because it's money. Right? But everybody else has to play within the lanes and the rules for everybody else. But not for us. Not for us. So, Lucky's here. Staying on until 10 p.m., please. Stay on until 10 p.m., please. What time is it for you anyway? That's a long time. I don't know if we're going to be on until 10. Simon says, good evening to you. It's good to be back after my hospital. Oh, yes. How did that go, by the way? We were away. I was away myself, Simon, for a little bit, not for a hospital procedure, but, we took a little bit, last show was about a week ago, 7 days to be exact to this day. So, I've been away as well. Simon says he is fit and well and have to catch up on missed streams. Well, we're happy that you're fit and well, and I'm glad everything has gone good, and you're good and you're healthy. And yeah, that's good positive news, man. I'm happy for you. I looked on the BBC football website to pick an England team for the World Cup, and Maguire wasn't one of the choices. Wait, is he like? Are you saying like he's not like he's not available for you to pick, or you didn't pick him? And it's listen, I don't know. The FA, whatever. I mean, listen. There are a bunch of C's. Okay? I don't have a problem with the word. I would say it, but some people get highly offended by the word, so I'm not going to say it. Okay? But I see you next Tuesday. Okay? I think as Terry Flewers might put it once or twice when I heard him say it. Yeah, they could fuck off. Okay? But we do have like a lot more, I guess, more pressing news. But I think Harry Maguire will probably get banned. Again, we don't know exactly what he has said or hasn't said, because I mean, that term is the terms that they listed it under, I mean, are so broad in general. I mean, if you listen to the description, if you listen to the definite, it says alleged that the defender acted in an improper manner and or used abusive and or insulting words and or behavior towards the 4th official. it could literally be a number. It could be anything. It could have flipped him off. That, like, flipping somebody off, I guess, constitutes under behavior. Insulting behavior. So we'll see what happens, but I assume Maguire probably did say something, and I guess, not only did they get the calls wrong, but they then made a formal complaint. Okay. Well, I don't know if there's an independent panel that reviews these things, but yeah. Listen, I would go. I don't know if we should go down this route, but hey, you kind of fucked the whole matchup. Maybe, just maybe you should let that one go. Okay, he already got the red card. Okay, and you didn't give us a penalty when everybody was like, "Yeah, you're either gonna give it a pen and you give the other one a pen, or you don't give it a pen and you don't give that one a pen." But you can't just call one a pen and not a pen. So you clearly fucked up there. And now there's sort of somebody, I don't know if it's the refs, I don't know if it's just the FA in general where they reviewed this, but I would assume the referee has had to make some sort of a report that Harry Maguire made some of these comments towards the fourth official. Maybe it was the fourth official himself. So, Maguire just wasn't on the list. Did you see the England game last night? And if so, what did you think of it? I actually did not watch the game itself. I did see that they did lose to Japan. I wasn't really too interested because it's a friendly. And so and then I was a bit busy as well. Did you watch it? I can't believe we got beaten by the Nips. The same as the Scots. Well, listen, you can't, and nobody could be worse than Italy right now, okay? All right? Like, listen, it was a friendly, you're playing Japan. Okay, like, well, who does Japan really have? Like, they don't really got any players, but listen, Japan, they play with heart. They play with soul. They're a bit of a tough team to, like, beat, They're not like, pushovers. They don't have superstars. They don't have, like, you would say England has the better players, but, they're a country or a nation of pride, and they play for the soul and the heart. So they're not, like, the easiest opponents, okay? Because that can take you a little bit. But nobody is worse in a worse situation than the Italians. And I think the Italians are on a live watch right now, okay? Because it's 3 World Cups. 3 World Cups that Italy isn't going to be in is, like, crazy. It's crazy. Italy was one of the top nations for a long time. In international football, they produced some exceptional talents: Francesco Totti, Del Piero, just to name 2, but Andrea Pirlo, Nesta, and all these other guys, Buffon. And now 3 World Cups. And, like, Italians, they got, like, 3 things in their life. It's like, pizza, pasta, bread, okay, football, and wine. That's all they got. Okay, that's all they got. So, yeah, it's sad days for them over there. I can't wait until the Prem returns from this boring break. Yes, there is FA Cup on the weekend, but we're obviously not in the FA Cup, so for us, we're gonna have to wait, a little bit. I see tonight that Man United women got knocked out of the Champions League. Did they? I know that they were playing against the Bayern Munich women's team. I don't know how good the Bayern's women's team was, so I saw that they were away, and I saw the betting odds, and you guys use decimals over there, but we use I don't know what ours is called, American odds, I guess. You know, we use numbers like the odds were plus 500. I don't know what that is in decimals, or your odds, but yeah, being plus 500 means you are like very heavily not favored. So I was like, that's not really a good sign. Brown Knights here says, what I missed? Not much. We just sort of getting started. Talked about Harry Maguire possibly getting banned from the FA, and we're just having a little bit of a chat right now. It's been a week, so, you know, we're just sort of hanging out. We're sort of chilling. If you hear the dog barking, I apologize, but he decided he wanted to wake up and start going crazy now for no reason. So, I see tonight. No, sorry. I saw the match and it was 90 minutes of boredom. We have been beaten by the Italians a few times, so it's a big relief. Well, England has been beaten by a couple different teams a few times as well. But you are right, in recent times. We should have won a Euro. Southgate is crap at his job. Blew that totally because it was there for the taking. Should have won the Euro against them. Blew it. Choked it. You know. So, yeah, it was a Euro, yeah. Was that Euro or UEFA Nations Cup? Nah, I think I'm getting mixed up. I don't know, one or the other. Simon says, I'm counting on Arsenal losing to Southampton in the Cup. I don't know, man. To Southampton? This is a bigger team, yeah, but Southampton? I don't think so. Especially because they just lost the Carabao final to City. You know very much well that Arteta's going to play the strongest possible team. Because he wants to, I guess, win that. Although some people would say if you wanted to win the cup, why would you start Kepa Arrizabalaga? Which I was so excited about because we talked about, me and my Arsenal friends, the two of them. We have other friends, but we were talking about it like the day before, and I said they were like, bro, I hope he doesn't start Kepa Arrizabalaga because he's been the goalie for the tournament, and they're talking about that he's possibly going to start, and I said I hope he starts Kepa Arrizabalaga because he is a choker, and he will definitely fuck up in the final 100%, and I will enjoy it 100%. And literally next day, while I'm watching the match with them, and they're screaming, get Raya on, sub Kepa out and get Raya on. And the next thing you know, cross comes in, ball right through his fucking heads, goal for City. And that was it. That was the game. Harry Maguire getting banned. Yes, Harry Maguire is apparently facing a ban, not apparently. And is probably going to get banned. The FA have released a statement saying that Harry Maguire has been charged after being sent off in the 78th minute of the Manchester United FC's Premier League match versus Bournemouth on Friday, 20th of March. It's alleged that the defender acted in an improper manner and or used abusive and or insulting and or behavior towards the fourth official following his dismissal, and Maguire has until tomorrow, the 2nd of April, to provide a response. So, he's facing a ban. He's most likely probably going to get the ban because we don't have blue shirts and our name is not City and we are not owned by Saudi Arabia. And we can't funnel, X amount of money into somebody's offshore bank account or do it through crypto because that's also hard to trace or not really trackable. So yes. How much will Tonali be sold for? Well, that's really up to Newcastle, and I guess it also really depends. I guess how much interest, is not interest, but how what is the level of an amount of teams that actually are end up digging in their heels and say, this is our number one target, this is who we want, we're going for him, and we don't care who's trying to get him, we're going to duke it out, you know. I would say I can't see him going lower than 70 million. So I think it's anywhere in the region of 70 to 90 million. Somebody might do 100 million. I don't think United will do 100 million. Somebody else could come in and take him for 100 million. I don't think United will get to 100 million. I think most likely you could probably do a deal where you pay about 70 and it would rise to 85, 90 million, including the add-ons. There is some sort of significant interest in Sandro Tonali, of course. Like, we are not the only ones. We've had strong positive news over the last couple days about Sandro Tonali. But, there are other teams, obviously, that can always get involved, and they're definitely rate him as a player. And if it becomes quite evident, which it seems like it's turning that way already a little bit, that he is definitely going to be available. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Arsenal or City or, Chelsea or all three or all four, even Liverpool, everybody gets involved. Like, whoever needs a midfielder, whoever wants a midfielder, whoever's looking for a midfielder, if he is one that says, hey, I want to move, I want to leave, I would like to leave, and Newcastle go, fine, you can go, but, we got to let you go for the right price. Bruno G, you're not allowed to leave, you got to fucking stay here. But Tonali, you can go. And then, it's United versus Arsenal versus City versus Liverpool. Well, you got a four-way transfer war going on. So it could go higher. I thought Chelsea had a ban. Maybe they do have a ban. I don't know if it did it actually go through, though. Or did they avoid it? I don't know what happened with that. If somebody wants to research it, you can tell me. Real quick, while we are live, so it should be accurate. Don't forget Palace got beaten by Macclesfield. That is true. I mean, the magic of the FA Cup can happen. I just, I think Palace is a bit different than Arsenal. Yeah. What tier does Port Vale play in? Dude, I don't know. I think they're like in the Port Vale is got to be in like. Are they in like the second or third? So Maguire is not the Messiah then, just a very naughty boy. Well. Bruno says Anderson is better than Tonali. Well, it could very much well be. But, I mean, what if we do Anderson and Tonali? And then we don't really have to say Anderson over Tonali. It is something, I mean, United could do something like that. And we'll get into the updates very soon. So we'll get the latest updates on this. But, I think United would have the money to be able to do Anderson and Tonali. That's one side of the story. The other side of the story is, are we going to actually be able to get them? In terms of, are we actually going to be able to sell them the best, the project the best, and get them to want to come to us instead of going to somewhere else? And obviously with Elliot Anderson, with City being heavily linked to him and sort of saying that Heavy is the that City is the favorites. Many United fans don't feel very confident. There's some United fans, not many. I shouldn't say many, but there's quite a few United fans that they don't think we're gonna get him. there's some fans that already think that City already basically have him in the bag and it's like pretty much done, but it's just not done. There's been some reports going back and forth on this where they report that it's sort of leaning heavily towards Manchester City, and it looks like it's probably, it's something that will get done quite quickly. But United are still in there fighting. And then you get some reports going back the other way saying that, Elliot Anderson has not made a decision. He's not going to make a decision until after the World Cup. And, he's not really sort of focused on this right now. He'll worry about it after he does the World Cup with England, which I've always believed, and I also say and think is where we're going with this. So Simon says I would sign Tonali over Baleba. Wharton and Anderson will be going to other clubs. Well, yes. I mean, I like Tonali very much. I think Tonali is a very, very, very excellent player, and I will. If it came down to, if you told me it's Tonali versus Baleba, but I rate Tonali way more than Baleba. And it's not even just because Baleba's had this bad season. I'm not like these other people that are quite reactionary in terms of, listen, if you are a little bit like, I don't know, he hasn't had the best, okay. But I think in the larger mainstream for the United content, okay, and the United fan base, okay, I think it's become sort of the popular thing. All right, and I see these large accounts on X and on YouTube and other stream. A lot of these people have jumped on the thing of, yeah, I don't want Baleba anymore because look at the season he's having. Look at the season he's having, and like they sort of just rammed it down everybody's throat. Like it started when early in the season, and he never sort of really picked it up. I mean, he hasn't replicated what he did last season. And the more that that's continued, the more that they've sort of jumped on top of that. I don't think Baleba is a bad player. He's a young guy. He had one good season. He had one season. I would say this season, it's like a decent season. It's not anything that's like, you're like, oh my God, he's absolutely just like, killing it. He's better than like almost every player in the world. But I think when you compare it, obviously last season was a better season. So everybody's like, oh, the drop off. And he's playing terrible, and I'm like, well, he's 21. Like, shit happens. You can have a really good season. You can have like sort of an average season. It's part of it. So I don't think he's a bad player. I wouldn't be like, I'm not gonna be like, upset if we get him or anything like that. I really like Sandro Tonali. I think Tonali is an excellent player. I think if we get Tonali, he's sort of a player that I would expect to hit the ground running a little bit more than maybe like a Baleba, and even maybe an Elliot Anderson. Although I think Elliot Anderson can do that, but I just think Tonali has a little bit. I don't know what it is about Tonali. It's something in the way he plays, the way he sort of presents himself. He gives me this feeling of like, yeah, I think if we got him from Newcastle and threw him into the team, he would just, it'd be a little bit like Bruno, where he would just sort of just, the transition would just be like, what we see him do for Newcastle, we'd probably just see him do the same thing for United. It wouldn't feel like, it wouldn't feel like to me like, oh, there's this sort of like, a little bit of a transition because he's gone from Newcastle to Manchester that he needs to, adjust to like the life of United, and it's taken him aback. I hope we sign Anderson so I can wear my old Anderson shirt again. You know what? That's actually funny. Never even thought about that, but yeah. Anybody that owns a old Anderson shirt out there, okay? If we sign Anderson, you could wear that shirt, although the number might be different, but still makes for a good laugh. I kind of actually forgot about him. Even though I did used to like him back when I was like much younger. And he was at the team. He just never really, I think he had like that one good season, that one really good season, but he was just he was always a bit inconsistent, wasn't he? Which was a shame because I had such high hopes for him. And one of my good friends is a Porto fan, so we got him from Porto. So me and him were sort of hyped together because we had Ronaldo, we got Anderson from Porto. I know Ronaldo didn't come from Porto, but he's Portuguese, and he was such a really good player. So we used to watch United together. We used to be really hyped, and much simpler and better times that was, wasn't it? Much simpler and better times it was. Simon says if we sold Bruno for 100 mil, then we could buy Tonali. Well, I think we could buy Tonali. I think and we'll get into the news because we've been having like a discussion. We do need to hit a little bit of the news, and we'll sort of round it out. But I think, sort of looking at the basic picture right now, if we sell Rashford, which I expect to happen one way or the other, and needs to happen, we're gonna get money for Rasmus. There's a potential 50% of Mason Greenwood, which I do expect him to go somewhere. So we don't know how much he's going to go for, but I don't think he stays at Marseille. He's done quite well. He's attracted a bunch of interest, and I do think that there is, probably a bigger, better team out there that's looking to sign Mason Greenwood. So we should get money from him. And, then we have the couple question marks, in terms of, are we going to sell Xerxes? I think we should sell Xerxes. There's been a little bit of a back and forth on that, he hasn't been playing a lot. It looks like he may get sold. There's still interest from a couple different teams, especially in Italy. So that's a deal that could be done. We also got an update that Xerxes wants to stay, and, he expects to play a lot more under Michael Carrick next season. I find that update interesting because Michael Carrick has not been officially given the job. So, as you are Joshua Xerxes, how can you say, I expect to play a lot more games next season and given more chances under Michael Carrick when you don't even really actually know, it's not 100% confirmed, if Carrick is the manager or not? We're going to talk about the manager position because I do believe, from when we started this whole conversation over the manager, okay, it does seem like the options are getting less and less by the day, and since the options are getting less and less by the day, I think that also pushes Carrick higher. So I do believe right now, I kind of feel like that Carrick is probably going to end up being our permanent manager. If the results stay good, if we finish third or even fourth, and we get Champions Leagues, and we don't completely just fall off, I think he will get it because the options are getting quite slim out there, and I don't see where we go from here. And there's a lot of PR sort of keeps coming out about Carrick getting the job and Carrick's chances look increasing, and that the people behind the scenes at Manchester United. But I was talking about that's we got to pivot to that. I was talking about selling the players and getting money. I do wholeheartedly believe at this current moment in time, United will have enough money to do 2 deals in the central midfield for at least 70 to 80 million each. We can definitely 100% spend 160 million on 2 players in the midfield. So you can get an Elliot Anderson and you can get a Tonali. If you could get both, if you could complete the deals, like in terms of if you could get them to want to come to us and agree to come to us, we should have the financials to do that. Simon says Anderson will go to City. Now that Salah is leaving the Scousers, I wonder who Liverpool will get to replace him. Well, it'll be interesting to see, and maybe they go for who is that player? We talked about him a couple times, but I'm drawing a blank on his name. The Diomande. Maybe they go for Diomande. Liverpool got money. They've done quite well over the past few years. They still got that German guy there, so maybe they go for Jan Diomande, young guy, throw him in. They could go down that route, but I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll find out. So we don't want City or Arsenal to win the FA Cup. I wouldn't want Liverpool or Leeds to win a throw-in, let alone silverware. So we're left with Chelsea, West Ham, Southampton, or Port Vale. Yeah. I mean, listen, if City win the FA Cup, they could have the FA Cup. I don't really want them to win it, but Arsenal's just they're annoying. They get carried away. Man City fans like barely exist, and they're not real. I mean, only the ones that live in Manchester. And I don't live in Manchester. But every other City fan that I meet in other parts of the world or here, especially here, okay, because in America, football, okay, is not the first sport. So when some dude comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, you watch Premier League?" and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a United fan." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a City fan." I'm like, "Oh yeah, when did you start fucking being a City fan? In what, 2016, when they started winning shit? When they already won a few things. You never paid attention to the Prem before that. You didn't really, you don't know anything about the history or anything like that, but you're a City fan." And then I kind of just brushed that guy off because I'm like, you're a bot. You're not even a real person. Like, you're a bot. But yeah. I mean, Chelsea, I guess they could take it too. I mean, like, for me, look, like Chelsea and Arsenal are like, they've always been like little brothers to me. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes they're a pain in the ass. We want to beat them. Okay? But like, I'm not really like too bothered by them. Like, listen, Arsenal's going to win the Prem this season. I don't think that they're going to bottle it. Okay? And I've sort of already accepted that they've won this thing. Okay? Because I find it extremely hard for them to bottle it from where they are. If they do, I mean, I'll laugh. Like, crying laughing. But listen, they win the Prem. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with their fans being unbearable. But like, you know what? At this point, take your one little Premier League. It's been like some 20-something years. Take it. We can't let them win the Champions League. They're not allowed to do that. Okay? But they could take their one little Premier League. City have won a lot. We don't want them winning any more Premier Leagues. So if Arsenal take it, it's the lesser of two evils, I guess. Let's try to keep our players fit, as the World Cup is only 2 months away and the countries don't want our crocked players. Although Chelsea getting knocked out against Port Vale would be hilarious. Yes, it would. We seem to be spending too much time on Baleba, same with last season when we tried to get Watkins and failed. But I don't know if we're spending too much time on Baleba. I think we're quite spread around right now. So, and I think Baleba, we've done a lot of groundwork on it, so I think we're pretty secure on that. But he's obviously dropped down levels because, again, I think when the priority always shifts. Sometimes it's because of what you rate the player, but sometimes it's because of the situations of the market. And I think, regardless of Baleba's form and what you rate of him, I think just in general, by default, Baleba does have to take sort of a bit of a backseat. He does sort of have to fall down the pecking order because there's less significant interest in him, and he's a bit more in our pocket. In that, it's always been reported he's like Acuna, he's like an Mbeumo. Like, he has given us the #1 spot, green light, doesn't matter if you're in Europe or not, I want to come to your club. Whereas like Elliot Anderson, that's not the same case, and Sandro Tonali is not the same case. So you would have to rearrange the focus and the prioritization of those. And you say, okay, well, like, maybe we'll go and do Baleba later, but we can't really sit around. We don't have time to burn because there's interest in Elliot Anderson and we want him. So we gotta push him to the forefront first, and we gotta fight for him because it's gonna be, City are doing a lot of work on this, and we gotta try and battle them out to have a chance to win. And if we don't win, well, there's also then Tonali. So, and Tonali has interest in him as well. So that's going to be like a heated battle as well. And then, like, let's just say for argument's sake, we get one of Elliot Anderson or Tonali. Well, then I would expect, the second one is going to be either Baleba or, if Wharton is still around, Wharton, or maybe like a Joao Gomes or something like that, which they have like significantly they have interest, but it's significantly less. It's not as hot. So, all I want to see in the coming Prem games is the bottom 3 teams picking up slightly and Spurs dropping in the bottom 3. Well, Spurs have hired De Zerbi, so that's going to be quite an interesting sort of watch towards the end of the season. He signed a long-term deal, and Tottenham are just all over the place. I still do think that Tottenham will get relegated. I have been saying this. Now, I don't know. Maybe De Zerbi comes in and he has a bit of magic to sprinkle over the players. But from what I was seeing from their team, like from their players, the players just can't be fucking asked. And I think when the players can't be asked, it's very hard, especially in the situation you're in, for somebody to come in at this period of the season and, sort of flip the mentality around. So it's going to be very interesting now that De Zerbi's there to see, how they perform. I still think, listen, if you can't get the players, if you can't flip the players around and get them on board and have them believe in something, there's no manager in the world that can do anything about that. And when that happens, it's pretty much over for you. So we'll see. If we can beat Leeds at home and Chelsea away, the Champions League is assured. Yes, I think we need. I think they said we need 8 points. Or something like that. Maybe it's 7 now in the last couple games. So we just need a couple. We just need a couple more points to mathematically secure Champions League, by automatic position, which means that like we can't actually drop lower than 5th. So we are sort of right there, right? We are close. We just need to go and get a couple more wins. In the, what do we have? Like 7 matches left or something like that. So we just need to go and get like 2-3 wins. And then, that is 100% guaranteed. And then obviously what's open left is just if you're finishing, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Not even worried about UCL at this point. No, listen, I've been pretty confident after Carrick went on, like, after like the 6th or 7th game, and we were getting the results. I was like, listen, I know we're not like, a full well-oiled running machine. We're getting the results. We have some issues, and it hasn't been perfect. But the main important thing is that he's come in, and even when, and we've talked about this a lot, like when in football, it's very important. You're not going to play always perfect. You're not always going to play brilliant. But the point is, like, you have to find a way to get over the line. And I think he's done a really good job at that. And the fact that the team was able to do this over, since he's come in, I felt pretty confident after, the 6th or 7th game. I was like, all right, well, like, clearly, whatever they've done, he's gotten them to at least find that aspect to a certain degree, which we were quite clearly missing under Ruben. And it was a big question mark if he was going to be able to figure that out for the squad. That was one of the things that was his major problem, was that, like, we were very inconsistent and we couldn't figure out how to get over the line when we didn't play well. Carrick has been able to do that. So, I've been confident. I think we'll get it. I've been saying it for a couple weeks, on here, but I've been saying it, like, off camera to my friends as well. Like, I'm like, listen, don't worry about us, because they try to throw hate my way. The Arsenal fans are talking shit because I give them shit about their, being Stoke City. And they try to hit back at me and they're like, yeah, like, how's that 1 match a week going? You're not in champion. Worry about getting back in Champions League. I said, I'm not worried. I said, I don't care. They're like, no, you care. I'm like, no, I don't care. I said, I don't care because I know we're going to get it. So don't worry about it. And I'm like, we're good. I'm like, we're all right. Like, I'm not worried about it. I just wish we could win the league by some odd miracle. Well, not this season, but here's the thing, and this is why our club needs to run better, Brown. Because it's like the opportunity now that Arsenal presents itself, okay? Arsenal wasn't good enough to outbeat City when City's at its peak, or when, Liverpool was at its peak. They couldn't get the job done. But you get to a season where City are not at their peak and they fell off a bit, and Liverpool are not at their peak and they fell off a little bit. And, Chelsea's been in sort of this rebuild kind of thing, so they've never really hit their peak from the last time they won it. And since you're already basically there, you're the next team up. And this is where United have monumentally fucked up, because we haven't built something consistent and strong enough to be in that position. So when this opportunity presents itself, if we actually built a proper project and a proper team, we would have had an ultimate chance to do so this season, and for future seasons going forward as well. So this is why it's very important that we actually do build a real team and have a real project. And there's a lot of pressure on Ineos to do it for that reason from the fans. Many don't believe in them, and I get it. And I'm a bit skeptical myself, but I think that there is still an opportunity that we could find ourselves there, maybe. And we're just going to have to sort of wait it out a little bit longer, because we will get the truth. I mean, in 2 to 3 years' time, if we're not near it, the project is dead. Yeah, like the Ineos thing is 100% dead. If we are there, well, then it's gone in a positive direction. So eventually, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of, doubt, and people, some people don't believe, and they think it's all like 100% a facade and it's all lies. I tend to go somewhere more in the middle. Like, there are lies, but also I think that they do need some sort of level of a certain success. And I think that there could be, grounds to have something that's sort of close to being there. Definitely closer than where we've been in the last couple seasons, for sure. Isn't Diomande a left winger? He is, but I think he could play both. Brunoso's here. Simon says, I can't wait until we hear the Champions League theme tune. Yep. Out of the Old Trafford speaker. After a while, makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. It'll be good too. I mean, listen, it's not nice to not be, it makes the season better. It's more exciting. There's more football to watch. There's more shit happening. It's a higher level game. This season has been quite dull to a certain extent. Like the fact that we're not playing and we've had, almost a whole month off, right, of not playing a game. Like, it makes it very boring. It does. And again, I'm one of these people, like, here's the difference between a big club and, a kid, me, growing up and watching United, win and dominate teams and be a big club, compared to, somebody that's an Arsenal fan with a small club mentality. These guys are jumping up and down and getting all giddy because they're getting easy matches, right? Like they're like, yes, we're playing Bayern Leverkusen, and City's got to play Madrid, and they're like, yes, and now they got Sporting, and they're like, yes, and they're celebrating it like they already won the match, yeah, because they want the easiest possible route because they want to get to the trophy. And for me, personally, as a United fan growing up, okay, like when we get back into the Champions League, I want the hard matches. I don't want the fucking easy route. I want to play the big teams. One, because it gives us the level that we're at and it gives us the indication. And two, it means a lot more. Because if you beat Bayern Munich, if you beat Real Madrid, if you beat Barcelona's, if you beat the big clubs and you go far, it means a lot more. You've accomplished a lot more. You've done it the hard way. You've gone over the line, and it's a lot more fulfilling. These guys, because they're so small, because they don't win anything, and they don't remember, being a champion. Okay, they're there, and they're like, yeah, we want the easiest route possible. And I just like sort of scoff at it, because I'm like, you guys are such a small club mentality. Like, I'm like, bro, we haven't won the Premier League for 13 years, but I was like, when we won the FA Cup, like, dude, I wanted to play, we get matched up against Liverpool, fucking bring it on. It's going to be an extremely hard match. I'm going to be anxious. It's going to be nerve-wracking. But if we beat Liverpool, and then we got to go and play City in the final, and we beat them, then I'm going to feel extremely proud because I'm like, well, it wasn't a fucking easy route. You can't take it away from us. We had to go and play against top teams and we beat them. So there's nothing you could take away from us. But if you get the easiest route, like they're playing Southampton, okay? Yeah, play Southampton, beat them, good for you. And they're like, yeah, we're in the next round, like we're going to win it. And it's like, all right, but you're playing like the fucking easiest teams, you know what I mean? Is Ray in here? Oh, Ray. Reynoso. We have another member named Ray. R-A-Y. Brown Eye says approaching 4 a.m. here. I'll turn it in now. Good night, mates. Good night, brother. I'm sorry, I'm really behind. Let me get to the forefront. If I skip the point you made and you really want to get the point across, you could always put it back in the chat. But I am really behind on the chat here, so let me just get up to speed here. Thank you everybody for the likes, by the way. Appreciate it very much. Deserby signed a 5-year contract. LOL, his longest managerial stint was 3 years. I hope he enjoys life in the championship. Sanji says when Ruben was sacked, I personally had a feeling that if any manager comes in, he will do better than him. Well, I didn't really think that, but I do think that on a certain level, it makes sense in terms of, listen, a lot of people made the argument we didn't have the players to play the system. So a lot of people made the argument, change the system so that the team can do better, right? Which I was against, and many people were against, and Ruben was against. So I think if you bring in a manager, it depends, a certain manager, but if you bring a manager that changed the system to basically a 4-2-3-1, I think the team always probably stood a better chance of playing better, because if you're arguing that we don't have the players for Ruben's system, well, if you change the system, they should play better, right? Or we should get better results. So they're going to do better by default. But my thing was just like, I didn't like the way we went. Like, I didn't like the whole way we went about it, because to me, it just didn't make sense. Like, if you were going to bring him in, you had to give him the players. You had to back him into the money. You got to give him the time to play that system, because that's the change that we made. And it's a massive change, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of work, and it's a bit expensive. Now, if we couldn't do it in a certain time frame and they wanted it done in a certain time frame, they shouldn't have hired him. But I was like, he doesn't play that system. So I just felt like for him to change the system, I was like, I don't think it's going to work for him under him. So I was like, I'd rather just him keep trying to do his thing and see if he could figure it out, or maybe get to the next stage and maybe we could get one, take another step under him. But I'm not totally surprised that, Carrick's come in and we play a 4-2-3-1 and we perform a lot better, because the team was still very much suited to a 4-2-3-1. We weren't very far in the transformation of playing ultimately to the strength of a 3-4-2-1. So Carrick is doing well. All I can say, I hope United played better than the England team in the past 2 games. Well, the thing is, and we got to see, listen, this is going to be a bit weird. Okay. It's a long time off for us, basically almost a whole month, essentially. I think it's a couple days short of playing a match. It's a bit strange. It's a bit unusual. If I was United, I would have at least played like a match or 2 behind closed doors or something. Because it's a really long period to not play, and it almost feels like when we come back, it's gonna be like we're starting the season again. And I don't really like that aspect too much. So I'm a bit worried by that, because we might come back, we might be a bit rusty. Maybe we come back and we're refreshed. But I tend to think like if you're in the momentum of things, you're usually, it's better to keep the form and to keep the feeling going. When you take a long period of a break, sometimes you come back and you're sort of just off. You're not hitting all the things. you're not as sharp. So I'm a bit worried because I think it could go either way. We could come back really refreshed. I think we got in the news that Lisandro Martinez is going to be back. So, that's positive news. Mason Mount should have had, this time to get more fully fit. So maybe we could use him more and see more of him. Maguire obviously red card and facing a ban. So we're going to need Martinez. And anybody else, I think like Sesko didn't do internationals because he was sort of playing through like a small injury. And there was another player, I forgot who it was, that also didn't go on international because apparently they had a small injury and we essentially told them, they're injured, like they got to recover. So those are positives that we can look forward to. But in terms of the team, maybe for Mbeumo it's good too because people were saying, he's off form and he looks maybe a little bit burnt out or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe he comes back and he looks a lot fresher, and maybe he performs better. So we'll see how this sort of goes. Also, do you trust Glinios to invest adequately in our club? I'm a bit torn because I know that they can be quite skint. And there is still the Glazers. So it's not just like it's not like I throw everything on Glinios because well, you say Glinios. So Glazers and Ineos. But like the Glazers are still there in the background. So I do look at the situation and say like, well, when it pertains to the midfield, I really do feel like they can't, even if they want to, they can't. Like one of our viewers was saying like we're only going to get one midfielder, and I'm like, they can't do that because we need two. Like by default we need two, and I would say we need three because we need to sell Ugarte. They could go down the path of basically, they've done this a little bit before where they sort of promise us the world, okay, and then they give us maybe half of the world instead of the full world. They promise us top tier and then they give us maybe 3/4 tier, like right below full tier or maybe mid tier. They could do that. I hope they don't. But as I've sort of left it up to everything that I usually do, to me, the ball is in their court. Like the ball is in their feet. And what they choose to do, well, then we have to deal with it, but we'll always get our answers. Like, I would implore and I hope that they don't go really cheap because I don't think we as a club and a team can't afford to go cheap in terms of the projection, and the trajectory of our team and our club for the next couple of seasons. But if they do so, well, they've essentially, they're going to fuck us. And when they actually make these decisions, well, then we have our full answer. Like, if we go into the summer, we don't get Elliot Anderson, we don't get Tonali, and we're looking at like Joao Gomes and Baleba, and they spent maybe less money than Tonali and Elliot Anderson, and we don't spend maybe as much money as I feel like we can spend. Well, then I'm going to sit there and say, well, they've cheaped out. They've gone the cheaper route. They fucked us, and they're full of shit. You know what I mean? But I think right now, like, I'm always open to giving them the opportunity to sort of prove themselves, I guess. Because there is always the opportunity that, well, they could actually get something done that's actually, I would say beautiful to do or good. Something that's quite exciting and is a bit mouth-watering and quite hyped. But if we get to the end of the summer and everybody's sort of feeling a bit flat and feeling, well, that summer window wasn't really great and it's sort of cheap and it's we don't really think it's good enough. Well, we've gotten our answer, and then that's another sort of point in the column of, well, Ineos are full of shit, or they're bad at their job, or, Glinios, or whatever it is. So I kind of feel like right now we're sort of in this, there's a scale. And, everything Ineos does, like a point goes into good, a point goes into bad, and it's constantly going a little bit back and forth right now. But at some point, it's just going to go heavily one way, heavily the other way, and this is what I'm saying. Like in 3 years time, we'll know the full entire 100% defined picture, because in 3 years time, if we're worse than we are now, or we're further away, or we ain't close, and we haven't made significant progress, well, then their whole project and them, they're done. You know what I mean? That's it. Like, they're not going to get any longer than that. So I would give Carrick benefit of the doubt. These players still have a problem to play any system. These are limited at best. Why is Harry Maguire offering a new contract? Well, I don't have a problem with the Harry Maguire contracting, because I think we could use him. But I would maybe operate it differently than maybe the club would operate it, and I can see why people have a problem, because we've been burnt in the past with that. Whereas we give Harry Maguire a new contract, and they're like, we don't need any defenders because he's so good, and we could use him for the next 2 years. And they sort of say, oh, we don't have a problem there. Let's just turn a blind eye, because we're like, I wouldn't operate it like that. My reasoning for keeping Harry Maguire is maybe a bit different than, what Glazeronomics-wise. It's not about, like, saving money. It's about that, I do sort of rate Harry Maguire's resurgence. I think he is sort of an important player to a certain degree. Now, next season, when I keep him here, we do need a certain level, number of a squad. The midfield rebuild is going to be massive. We also do need, a winger, and we probably need some sort of a left back or right back. I would lean more towards a left back right now, and then probably a right back after, because the left back position, I don't know about Luke Shaw. And what are we going to do with Dorgu? So for me, Maguire, I said, listen, if you get him on a lower wage, you keep him here for another 1 year. I said 1 year, but it seems like it's going to be 2. I think he has a good attitude. He's been through a lot, which I value. Okay, some people don't value that much, but I value that, he was quite shitty at a horrid time. It looked like his career was over at Manchester United. He came back from that. He's performed particularly well over the last sort of 3 seasons, and he's come up big in a lot of matches for us, and, he's been playing particularly well. And I think that's something important, because for players to learn from, players that he can guide through, when they do come to this football club, they might struggle with that. This club does tend to swallow people up, especially in its current state. So, I think we got a super chat. Grace is here. Says, I got a message saying that Barcelona option to buy Rashford has expired. Is this defo true? No, that's false. And I will bring that up in a second. Super chat. Sanchi sent the super chat. Thank you, Sanchi. Says, what's more important, a world-class manager or a few world-class players? It's a really good question. I would say, and I could be wrong about this, but I would say probably a world-class manager, I would say. Because I think you can have a very good team, and a team that performs very well, and not have a few world-class players. And I think if you have a few world-class players and you don't have really a good manager, that, to me, in my brain, I feel like from the examples that we may have seen that over time in football, doesn't tend to really work out very well, does it? It tends to usually, the manager can't handle those players, can't manage them properly. The team is quite dysfunctional, and those players don't end up not respecting the manager, and that manager loses his job, and the team sort of falls into disarray. So I kind of feel like if you have a better manager, the team should be managed better, and it should operate better. Obviously, a nice balance would be good. and you probably do need a nice balance. But I do think that there are some places where you do see that there is like sort of an exceptional coach or manager, and then the team is like they're not really filled with like world superstars, but they're filled with players that fit the role. They complement each other. The team is well put together. They're not like world superstars. You know, it's not like Mbappe. It's not Ronaldo. It's not Messi. Okay, but they are very good players that go as a unit together very nicely. And when you have that sort of cohesiveness as a unit, and then you have a very good manager, I feel like that works out very well. So I would probably go with the world class manager. Um, um, I wonder who will be the chief club who is going to sign Casemiro. Well, he's got many options, but we'll see. I'm not saying we will take him back, but we will still sell him. But Barcelona, I don't think really want him. They do want him. They just very. The thing about Barcelona is they're scammers, essentially. They're scammers. Okay. They ever since they fucked up their finances, they have been playing the small violin to everybody in the world, and you know, how many seasons has it been now that Barcelona is broke and they can't afford to sign any players, and they go and pull all these levers and whatever the fuck they do in Spain, and they then sign players. But there has been like instances, again, allegedly, because I guess they could sue me. I don't know if it's been proven or not, but they could sue me if I don't say allegedly. So I got to say allegedly. But allegedly, they were telling Lewandowski not to score goals so they don't have to pay Bayern Munich, a bonus for him scoring goals at some point last season or the season before that. They told him to stop scoring goals just so they don't pay. Like, they are a bit scammerish. So, like, again, like, I think they fully went into this and they told United, yeah, we agree to whatever you want. Yeah. Like, get us Rashford because it's like a player that we could get on loan. And they did rate him. They rated him because they wouldn't have loaned him in. So they rated him to some level. He's done well for them and they would like to keep him. But they want it done to their benefit. And what they want to do is get a player like Marcus Rashford, who they rate very much so, but they want it as cheap as possible so that they can then go and get somebody else so they can make their team as strong as possible. They don't give a shit about anybody else. Like, they're not looking out for us. They don't care about, sort of honoring the deal. So I always felt like this, after a little bit of time, this has been quite clearly was always their play. Get United to loan into us, and then later on, because we know Marcus wants to stay at Barca, and like he doesn't want to go to any other club, later on, we'll flip it around on United, and we'll start saying, oh, we would love to keep Marcus, but like, the 30 million's a bit too expensive for us because we can't really afford it. We're still in finance. Dude, if that was the case, why did you agree to the 30 million? Why? And I'll tell you why. Because their plan was always to try and scam a lower fee. Their plan was to get him there to pin United into a harder position so that United would then be like, what are we going to do? Like, we don't want Marcus. Marcus doesn't want to go anywhere. He's on 300,000 a week. It's really hard to do. Like, let's just fucking give him to Barcelona for like 20 million, and just say fuck it. But United aren't doing that, and this is a part where I'll give Ineos credit, and this is where I separate myself from some of these other people, because they cannot give Ineos credit for anything because they just have to hate them no matter what. I don't operate like that. I totally agree with the club stance, and I agree with Ineos, and I'm proud of Ineos doing this because they could be spineless bastards and just say fuck it, sell him for 15 million, but if I was in charge, I would be doing the same thing that United are doing, which is telling Barcelona, no, we're not renegotiating. We don't give a fuck. We will literally take him back to our club and we will look to sell him somewhere else. You guys agreed to the 30 million. Pay the 30 million. He's done well for you. It's not even like he's played shit. He's done well for you. Pay us the money or fuck off. And I've been saying that for like months now. But thankfully, United are basically saying the same thing, which is what they should be saying, because it's a ridiculous fucking thing for them to be doing. It's a ridiculous thing for them to be doing. So, you know, like, I think we will sell Rashford. If it's not to Barcelona, we'll sell him, because here's the play that I see in my head as well. Marcus could want Barca all he fucking wants, okay? And he can try and make it as hard for us as he wants. But if Barca doesn't give us the money, he's going to have to come back to United. And I don't think he wants to come back to United. I think he's moved on, okay? And we've quite clearly moved on. We're not going to keep him. We're not going to use him. So we will end up finding a different deal somewhere else, because he's done well at Barca, so there should be some interest. We might have to do something with the wage, where we have to cover a certain amount, but we will get definitely we will get a decently good fee. And Marcus will be basically in a position of like, I gotta go to a different club that's not Barca, or I'm not gonna fucking play. And I think at that point, as much as Marcus would like to go to Barca and might make it as hard, at some point, like he's already done a couple times, he will have to accept that, well, that move has a material. I gotta go here. Yeah, to whatever it is. So, if Bruno wants to stay, then he really needs to improve sometimes. He does have his yo-yo moments. Well, I think a lot of players have the yo-yo moments, but Bruno's on fire right now, so he's doing quite excellent. If Spurs do go down, then I can see a mass exodus in signing cheap players. Well, they do all have clauses that all their wages will be cut. I think it's by 50 or 75%. So Levy signed all the players' contracts that if they ever got relegated, all the players' wages are going 50 to 75% lower, which is going to save Tottenham a lot of money, which is going to actually help Tottenham be sort of in a position where, you know, they're not going to be forced into having to sell everybody on the cheap, per se. But a lot of players will probably want to get out of there, especially after this season. And, you know, I think that there will be players up for grabs if that happens. But, we had this matter with De Jong, which went on for ages. Well, the thing with De Jong was just, he wanted to come to us. He did, you know, he wanted to come to us. Like, he did like Ten Hag, and he did like us. But his whole thing was just like, he had this sort of unfinished business at Barca, and he wanted to stay there. So, you know, that's why we never ultimately really got him, because it was really on him. I mean, if he fully was just like, yeah, I'm ready to leave Barca and I want to go to United, we'd have him right now. But it didn't happen because he didn't want it. So Gray says, I would buy a center back and put Mazzawari into midfield and sign two midfielders. Feel like Maz's versatility at fullback and in midfield could be useful. Chelsea have done it with Reece James. Well, I would go maybe the other route, and I would take Mazzawari and maybe use him as a center back. If I'm going to take a center back and play him in midfield, I'd put Lisandro Martinez, because I think he's our best. He's the best at it. I mean, he already played there, but even when he plays center back, he's the best. He's the best ball carrier. He's the best at progressive passes out the back. His passing is really good, especially for a center back. It's the best one. So I would probably do that with Martinez. And either get another, get a new center back, or use Mazzawari as a center back sometimes. We do have Heaven, and we do have Euro, and we have De Ligt if he is fit, and there is Maguire as well. So we could sort of rotate like that. I think we do need maybe one of the young guns to come in. I do think I do think center back, we do need to start to transition into. We need to play one of the experienced players like De Ligt, or maybe Maguire and play a Heaven or a Euro next to them and sort of have that as the starting centre back. And then when one of the experienced players goes in, maybe bring in another experienced player, through injury or something like that. But in the Bruno situation, I would be sitting him down and saying, I want an answer, you stay or you leave. We need to know who we can build with. I can see Bruno coming back from the World Cup and wants to leave. Well, it could happen, but I think United, from the reports we got, United have made it quite clear this time around that they would like him to stay. So they've made their side quite clear. And you could do that. Maybe you wouldn't want to, but maybe you do that. But I think it's a bit kind of normal as well that, like, a lot of players, they do take the route of, I'll figure it out after I come from the World Cup. Like, a lot of players do that. A lot of players do just say, like, listen, there's not enough time for me to really sort out my future. I want to be focused on this. So let me go do my World Cup thing for Portugal or, my international team. Once this whole circus is sort of over, it come back. I'm gonna have a couple weeks off, anyway, and then, like, I have time to sit down and really, like, make a decision. So, because United are not open to actually getting rid of him, right? So, they do want him to stay. So I don't think they're gonna sit down and be like, "Tell us now" or "Get the fuck out," because they don't want him to get out. So they're just kind of gonna be like, "Listen, we want you to stay. We're not looking to sell you. We want you to be here. This is our stance. You're a captain, and we're looking forward to working with you over the next couple of seasons and continuing. And we just want to make that clear. And we'll have further discussions." And he's like, "All right, like, sounds good. I'll be thinking about it, and then after the World Cup, we'll know for sure." But I think also coming from Bruno's standpoint, like, I wouldn't necessarily blame Bruno for doing that, because, again, we can't sit here and criticize the way the club is run, and we can't criticize or doubt Galenios if they're going to do something significant for the club and something serious. Bruno has given our club a lot, and he's done a lot, and he's been through a couple sort of rebuilds already, and promised projects, and promised sort of futures and directions for the club that have all basically collapsed or failed. So I wouldn't even blame Bruno if he's like, bro, I'm just going to wait till after the World Cup, because you guys, I've been here enough times. You guys have promised, I've had many things promised to me. It's been quite underwhelming. And I do want to win things, and I do love this football club. But also, I'm sort of at the back end of my career. And, maybe I don't no longer want to be at a place where I'm just going to waste the next 3 years and we're not going to really go anywhere. So maybe how about you show me that, like, you guys are actually different and this is going to be different. And why don't you go and do something in the transfer window and sign some significant players, and then I'll let you know. Because, again, like we were just talking about, like, listen, if you sign Elliot Anderson or Tonali and you make some big moves, if I'm Bruno, I would say, well, okay, these guys are actually, we're making some serious moves. If you're saying we're going to get Elliot Anderson and Tonali and we're going to get these players, and then we get, like, 6th and 7th choice in the center midfield, and, we pay, I don't know, 50 million, 60 million for each, and they're not like that level of player, I go, well, they're full of shit again, aren't they? They're half-assing the project. Do I really want to stay here again? Like, I love this club, but what is the future in this? Where are we going with this? Because we're not going to be able to sustain anything, are we? We're not going to be able to compete, are we? Not with doing the things that these people are doing. And I've been here before. They promised me shit when I came under Oli. They promised me shit under Ten Hag. They promised me shit under Ruben Amorim. And they're promising me things under who I believe will be Carrick. And then they go out and do things. And their words are cheap, their actions are half-assed. Rashi hasn't scored that many goals lately for Barca, and I didn't rate him for the 2 England games. To think we had De Zerbi on our list as a potential managers, but Spurs have chosen their next sacrificial lamb. Well, I'm happy that Spurs have taken him off the board for us because I did not want him at United at all. Can we sell Ugarte and Delo before they cost us goals? Well, here's the thing, and this is where I had my sort of argument with Niche fan. Because Niche believes that he has no faith in Ineos whatsoever. He's quite dark over the whole thing. Which, listen, if he wants to be that way, that's fine. He's entitled to be that way. Who am I to tell him not to be? Because I don't have all the answers either. I'm not 100%, he's very far over on that side. I'm not that far. I'm sort of still somewhere in the middle currently. But he's saying that we're only going to sign one midfielder. He doesn't expect to get two. He thinks it's going to be one midfielder. He thinks it's going to be Baleba. He thinks it's going to be quite underwhelming. Sort of summer transfer window. They're going to be very cheap. And it's going to be quite lacking and disappointing. And my argument was they could do that, but how do you get away with that optics wise? Because if you do that, and maybe they don't give a shit, but I do feel like they kind of give a shit because I think they're trying to still, at the very minimum, they're trying to play the illusion. They're trying to keep people on side. They need to keep people on side. Okay? They can't have like full-on revolt from the United fan base. They can't afford to lose like 95% of the fan base, which they haven't done so yet. I think it's quite split. Maybe leaning a little bit more, against them right now, but it's still sort of close, and you could probably swing it by doing a couple things, positive things. I think by default, listen, they've been promising us, or basically the reports are saying we're getting two midfielders. I've been making the argument saying that we need three. And the reason why I say we need three is because obviously Cass is leaving. Mano is the only one that I rate. And Ugarte needs to be sold. And if I was in charge, I'd be selling Ugarte and I would be getting three midfielders. And I would be getting two top tier ones, like Elliot Anderson and Tonali. And if you can't get one of them, then get the next one best up that fits the best. And then the third one would be somebody that maybe is quite promising and young, that maybe you could get for a bit cheaper, like a Mateus Fernandez from West Ham or something like that, who's not going to cost you, above 60, 70, 80 million. And that's what I would do for the midfield. And what I said was, if they're going to go a bit skint and cheap, maybe they don't get us the top tier. Maybe I think they will get us two midfielders. But where I think they'll cheap out the hardest is they'll just keep Ugarte as a squad player. And I don't think that that's good enough for us, because I don't view him as somebody that we can actually use. Like, he's not useful enough. He's not versatile enough. He is very limited. And so, if we're in a season and we have two new midfielders plus Kobe, if one of them gets injured, one of them is suspended, one of them is playing like shit, okay? The next one goes up. So whether it's one of the new ones or it's Mano, the next one goes up. But the one after him is then Ugarte. And if you're in a match and you're starting Mano and one of the new midfielders, the other midfielder, let's just say he's injured, okay? And Ugarte is your backup, and we're in a match like we've played against Newcastle or a couple of these other teams this season in a game where we are just like, the midfield's not looking great, the team's not playing great, we need somebody to come on to change the game. We already know the answer, that Ugarte is not the guy that's going to be put on in the midfield and is going to change the game for us in a positive way, in terms of we need a goal, we need to create, we need to score to win the game. So I don't view him as a viable option. I think he should be sold and we should be getting somewhere else. But I do have a bit of a fear that they might just do what United have done in the past and sort of just be like, well, we only need two midfielders because we have Ugarte and we have Kobe, and that's your four. And I look at that four and I say, that four is not enough. I like the three, but the three can become very thin very quickly in a season that we're looking at next season, when you're playing Premier League matches, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and Champions League. And we want to go far in all of those competitions. We would like to win at least an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, be in the title race. If we don't, if we're not winning it, but at least be in it from the start of the season to the end of the season, push for it and go as far as we can in the Champions League. We're going to need a really quality of depth of a squad. So, and I don't think that midfield supplies that. Who would be captain if Bruno did go? I don't know. I would have said De Ligt once upon a time, but De Ligt has injury problems, doesn't he? And De Ligt is not one that I feel like I can really rely on right now. My next one I would say Lisandro Martinez, if he can also stay fit. Now he had 2 bad injuries. He just had this one, which was small and sort of more of a normalish injury. But when it's coming off of the 2 major injuries, the surgery, and being out for the majority of the past 2 seasons, it's not the best look, and it is a bit worrying as well. But I would, if Lisandro can stay fit, I'd give it to Lisandro. I like his attitude. I like his mentality. I think he could be a captain. I think he sort of leads by example. I think De Ligt could do it too, but De Ligt needs to stay fit, and he doesn't seem like, there's a big question mark over what's going to happen with him, because I don't think we're going to see De Ligt for the rest of the season. I don't think he's going to make it back. He was supposed to be out for 2 weeks. It's been like well over 3 months, and he's not going to come back for the rest of the season. So, and then going into next season, it's going to be sort of for me, it's a big make or break for De Ligt, because again, next season, if he's out for extended period of time and he's getting multiple injuries, we're going to have to move on from him. We're going to have to try and see if we can get rid of him, because we can't keep a player like that, unfortunately. As much as I rate him and I think he's a really good player and I like him a lot, we cannot hold on to a player like that because he's not useful to us. And the same goes for any of these other players that are like that. The same goes for Mason Mount and Luke Shaw. Now, Luke Shaw this season, he stayed fit and he hasn't gotten injured like that. But I am worried about Luke Shaw next season, because we're going to play a lot more games. And if he's going to be the starting left back, it's going to be a lot more wear and tear on his body. And I doubt highly that his body is going to be able to sustain it. So I do kind of feel like next season, if we go down that path and Luke Shaw is starting a majority of the games next season, I think Luke Shaw will get an injury, and I think Luke Shaw will go back to being the Luke Shaw we all know, and that he will be gone for months and months, and we won't see him, and we can't rely on him. And that's another player just basically not useful to us in any sort of way. We blew our chance to sell Bruno for 100 mil. Well, I think there's still somebody could still do that out there, especially Saudi Arabia. I mean, Bruno is rated very highly, but I have things to do, so I wish you all a good night. Yep, good night, Simon, and great Thursday. If I don't see you before Easter, we'll be live before Easter, but have a good one all, and be watching the rocket launch later too. Yeah, there's a rocket launching. And yeah, you have a good Easter too. If I don't see you, brother, good to hear from you, and I'm glad your operation went well as well. So, great stream as always. I look forward to the next one if I'm not busy. Yep, look forward to hearing from you and seeing from you as well. Real quick, because we're not going to go much longer, but there was just a couple things, okay, that we were talking about that I do want to bring in news-wise, okay? So let's just run through them real quick, and then we'll sort of do our final closing thoughts for the show, and then we'll go live again later on in the week. But let me just pull up the feed and give you guys the updated sort of news, okay? But so on Carrick, Simon Stone, nothing is guaranteed until a final decision is officially confirmed. However, if Manchester United continues its strong run and secure Champions League qualification, it would be difficult to overlook Carrick for the permanent role. And the thing about this with the Carrick thing, and I mentioned it before, but I didn't really go into too much depth. The options for manager is quite dwindled down. Okay, De Zerbi was on that list once upon a time. He's quite obviously not on the list anymore. He's at Spurs. Ancelotti was there. That's not happening. He's gonna stay at Brazil. Tuchel was kind of there, but he's staying at England, and it didn't work out the first time. I didn't even really think that that was really a viable option. There's been this flirtation with Luis Enrique. As far as we know right now, it seems like he's going to stay there, even potentially signing a new contract. We've been used in that way before. So, he's not a serious option at all. I think Glasner was once upon a time an option, but the way it's gone at Crystal Palace, I don't think he can be seriously considered. I don't think somebody like Roberto Martinez can be seriously considered. And I seen an update about this, and the update was basically like, it's down to two people, and it's between Michael Carrick and Julian Nagelsmann. And which, to me, isn't even bad, because I really like Julian Nagelsmann. I've liked him for a long time. He has quite a good amount of experience for a young guy. I like the brand of football he plays. Okay? And if we were to get him, I would be happy with that. I would welcome him at United, and I would like to see sort of what happens. But I do sort of agree with that update. Like, I sort of look at it and I say, well, to be realistically, out of all the options that were once available, and to what we're down to the ones that I feel like would be good, it really just is Michael Carrick and Julian Nagelsmann. And I think Julian Nagelsmann is a bit of a long stretch, because coming from the Ineos side, we have to pay something to get Julian Nagelsmann out of Germany, because he's under contract. So and Ineos, this is where I say Ineos sort of pick and choose places to be cheap on. And I think definitely there is something there that says, because they had to sack Ruben, and because they had to pay Ruben, they are basically really mostly in the camp of they don't want to pay to get in another manager. I think for two reasons. One, because they had to pay to sack managers, but also they don't want to pay for a manager just in case they then have to sack him again, because people are getting on their back about this. And I think they're quite aware of this as well. And also from a perspective of people that are penny pinching, they are definitely, the people that are in charge of the penny pinching, they are obviously looking at that and saying, well, we are fucking wasting money here as well, so this needs to stop as well. Which is kind of a half-assed plan, isn't it? Because you can't tell people we're going to do the best-in-class decision and then be like, yeah, but we'll do it on a budget. Well, you can't do best-in-class on a budget. You can't. It's not really, truly best-in-class. It's a half-assed baked thing to do. So, and when you flip it around the other side, well, you look at Carrick. Carrick is the cheapest option. Carrick was not in a job. Carrick is going to cost the least out of every manager that you can possibly probably get. Mostly. If you get Enrique, you're going to have to pay him a lot more money. You're going to have to give him a lot more guarantees. He's going to want to, certain players, they're going to probably cost a lot more. Carrick is going to be the cheaper option across the board all the way. Carrick has done a really good job. I'm not taking anything away from Michael, but these guys, with their sort of ulterior views or motives, we're checking boxes for Carrick for one reason. They're checking boxes for Carrick for a different reason, which is the disparity and the problem that we have at this football club, because we view it one way, they're looking at it for different reasons, and then it doesn't really align to a football sense, does it? So I do feel like as the days have gone on, it is increasingly going into Carrick's court, that Carrick is going to be the manager. Even some of the updates are worded quite weird, in that, players that are here believe, it's coming out saying that they believe that they're going to be given more opportunities under Carrick next season. Well, it hasn't been confirmed that Carrick is going to be here. So do you guys know something? Or you just saying that? You're just making things up? Is it bullshit, the update itself? Or, what is that? What is that you got players that, like Xerxes, for example, that story that Xerxes might not necessarily want to leave. He wants to stay because he believes that he's going to get more opportunities under Carrick next season because there's going to be more football. Well, United have not confirmed anything about Carrick being the manager. So how can you be so assured that you're going to get more chance? Because what if it's not Carrick? What if you get another manager and the manager just comes in and says, yeah, I don't fucking rate Xerxes. He doesn't fit my system, doesn't fit my plans. I want him out. So there is that. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like this is where we're heading. And there is a couple more updates about that as well. And if I find it real quick, I'll do that. Otherwise, we just kind of got to skip around because, it's I'm viewing it in the timeline. The timeline's a bit all over the place. I don't have it in order. But there was a couple other updates that was involving Michael Carrick. Let me see if I could find it real quick because I just want to touch base on the Rashford thing as well, because there was actually a couple significant updates on this. So let me just type in Carrick here and let me see if I pull up. Here was the couple updates, yeah, and it was coming from The Athletic. Okay, this was him comparing his United to Amarim's United. We'll do that right at the end, but I kind of want to do more of the the managerial sort of updates. Jay Burt in the Telegraph gave us the update saying it's becoming increasingly likely that Michael Carrick will be appointed as the permanent manager of Manchester United. This was yesterday, okay, or a day or two ago. All right. We also got from the iPaper Sport a couple days ago, Michael Carrick is closing in on becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. Luis Enrique is now expected to extend with Paris Saint-Germain beyond 2027, ruling him out, similar to Thomas Tuchel and Carlo Ancelotti. I think if those guys are off the table, again, like we just talked about, the list is getting smaller and smaller by the day. So I do think, off the top of my head, out of available managers that I would rate, that I would say, yeah, I'd like to see them have a go, it's really down to Carrick and Julian Nagelsmann. Iriola, I like his football, but I think it's a massive gamble to take that guy with the amount of experience he has at Bournemouth and bring him to Manchester United. Glasner, I never really rated, okay? And Roberto Martinez, who was mentioned to us once upon a time, just absolutely no. Never rated him as a manager. Don't want to see him at United. I don't think he was anywhere near good enough to do such a thing. They told us Pochettino once upon a time. No, thank you. His ship has sailed a long time ago. He's past it. He's washed that level. Don't want to see him. So I do think like the candidates is the guy that we have now, okay, that has come in and done well and, sort of continued the project under him and see how that goes. Or you get somebody like Julian Nagelsmann, who is a young guy, but he plays a good brand of football and he has some valuable experience. Bayern Munich with the German national team as well. He plays a good brand of football. It's a football that many fans of United feel like it would fit United. These are the only two sort of viable options. But I don't really feel like we're gonna go for Nagelsmann because of the financial aspect of it. So, and this was the update here from Ty Marshall. That was about 5 days ago. We haven't been live for a week. So Carrick now has just two main rivals left in the race for Manchester United job, and it was Luis Enrique and Julian Nagelsmann. Well, that update 2 days later said Enrique is out, so it's just Nagelsmann. There's a growing feeling inside the club that Carrick has outperformed the other Premier League contenders, including Oliver Glasner, Marco Silva, Unai Emery, and Thomas Frank. And I think, yeah, like, Glasner never rated and never wanted. So, I would pick Carrick over Glasner every day. I don't rate Marco Silva either. Unai Emery, listen, a lot of people like him, but I don't think we're doing that move. I don't think we're paying. Listen, he's at Villa. Like, we're going to have to pay. I don't think we're doing that. And I think what comes with Unai is people will get very hyped. and they'll say we're going to win the Premier League in like a season because they really rate Unai, and they look at the job that he did at Villa, and they say, well, if he could do that to Villa, imagine what he does to Manchester United. And if what he's done with Villa, if he does that to United, we should win the Premier League. But I don't believe in Unai like that. Unai is a guy that will get you top 4. Okay, Unai is a guy that predominantly finishes in 4th place throughout his career as a manager. And his best achievements is Europa League. He is not a guy that can get over the line in Champions League. So he is experienced. He has that over Carrick. Okay, but what Carrick has is he knows the football club. And he has that over Unai. So, and then there's Thomas Frank. And I don't want Thomas Frank. I didn't want Thomas Frank when he was at Brentford. And he went to Spurs, and Spurs are shit, and they run shit, but we're also not run that great either. So why would you want Thomas Frank? So really, again, I do truly believe we're down to 2 people, and it's literally between Carrick and Nagelsmann. And I will back either one. At this point, I really like Julian Nagelsmann. I'd like to see him at Manchester United one day. I wanted him before we got Ten Hag. We didn't end up going for him. He ended up going to Germany, and we ended up getting with Ten Hag. And I was still okay with Ten Hag anyway when we still got him. But I would like to see Julian Nagelsmann at United. I like him. I rate him as a manager. I would like to see sort of that project and see how it goes under him. I would like to see what he could bring to United. So, this is where we are. But I do feel like, just to cap this off, I do feel like we're going to end up with Carrick. It just seems like the more we get closer to the end of the season, the more the news is getting fed to us and how it's worded and what's being said to us. It's like they're spoon feeding us, Carrick being selected. They're every day they're just dripping more sort of, it's going to be Carrick, it's going to be Carrick, it's going to be Carrick, so that once we actually get to the end of the season, after they do this so many times, they say it's Carrick, everybody goes, all right, yeah, it's Carrick, like, we knew this was sort of coming, whatever, and then, like, everybody sort of just moves on, and obviously the people that, like, really desperately are, like, begging for Carrick and, like, wanted Carrick over everybody are going to be, like, super excited, but the point is, like, they're basically every day they're telling us, like, it's leaning towards Carrick, it's leaning towards Carrick, it's leaning towards Carrick. And then when they come out and they actually say, yeah, we're giving Carrick the full-time job, everybody's just sort of like, well, you've been telling this to us for like the past like 2 months now. So, I mean, okay, like, let's get going then, I guess, right? But yeah, that's where we stand right now, and we'll see how this goes going forward, okay? Real quick to touch up on the Marcus Rashford stuff, because there has been this sort of updates about Rashford, okay? So let's pull that up, and let's just get all this information, because I kind of skimmed through it today, because I'm a bit kind of tired about this, because it's sort of the same thing over and over again, but let's read it to see if we got anything super significant. So this update from Rob Dawson, ESPN, Marcus Rashford's future is still up in the air. Barcelona have until June 15th to trigger the 30 million euro option, but Manchester United have no plans to renegotiate or extend the loan, which is good. They shouldn't. And they continue on to say, with other offers already there, while Barcelona remain divided internally on whether to commit. Well, sounds like a Barca problem, not our problem. So, Barca, you figure it out. You got till June 15th. You either trigger it, you don't trigger it. We'll find out, at least by June 15th. If they don't, I'm still 100% confident Marcus Rashford will not, he's not coming back to us. He's not going to be putting on a United kit again. We're not going to be seeing him playing. The club is done with him. I think he's done in terms of, like, I'm not saying like he hates the club, but I'm just saying, like, there's no desire for him to come and play again, okay? Like, he's still going to be, like, always a Red, once a Red, whatever, and he's still always going to love the club, and I'm sure, like, once his career is over and he's retired, like, we'll see him pop up at Old Trafford or something, somewhere, once upon a time. But yeah, I don't think there's any. I think he's moved on now. He's gone to Barca. He's gone away from United. He's experienced playing for another club. So I think he's totally yeah, like I can go and play for other clubs. Like I don't, it's not like my heart is broken anymore. He's sort of moved on from that. So I do think we will get it done. One of the other updates that we got. Oh, sorry. I did go a little bit out of order. So Fabrizio did give us this update, and Fabrizio got involved. So Fabrizio said Barcelona has a deal with Marcus Rashford, but wants to restructure the agreement with Manchester United. Manchester United wants the money. That's the club's message. That's from Fabrizio. Okay, and then I think these are, I believe, Spanish journalists and Spanish outlets. They reported that the 30 million purchase clause for Marcus Rashford expired in March, which this was 10 hours ago, and then was said that this is not true. So this is why people may have had a bit of a confusion. Like Grace did ask and say, is it true that it expired? It was reported that way, but then another report came out and said that it is up until June the 15th. So it is. I'm going with, because I don't know these guys. Some guy named Neil Sola. He is followed by Fabrizio. He does have 21,000 followers. He is some sort of a podcast, Spanish. And, this sort of, I guess, outlet that is also followed by Fabrizio. And they have 55,000 followers. They did report it, but we did have a counter report saying that it did not expire in March, and that it is still till June 15th. So I'm going to go with the June 15th report. The Mirror also reported that United are confident of selling Marcus Rashford permanently this summer. He wanted to leave last year before joining Barca on loan. I'm pretty confident as well, because I just don't see... the club doesn't want him back. He doesn't want to come back and play. So Barca can try and do whatever Barca does, but I think one way or another, a deal will happen. Whether it's with Barca or not is a different story, but I do confidently believe that this will be sort of the final chapter in United Rashford's story. Like, he will be permanently off the books by the time this summer ends. So, and then he will officially no longer be our player, or our, sort of problem, I guess. There was this update as well, saying this was like a couple weeks ago, but it said Manchester United are targeting Bradley Barcola as a possible replacement for Marcus Rashford this summer, with Paris Saint-Germain expected to demand up to 80 million euros. So I don't really buy into that too much, because I don't think PSG are looking to sell Bradley Barcola. And if they are, I don't even think they do it for 80. I think they do it for a lot more. Listen, they went and got these players. They don't need to sell. They don't need the money. They have plenty of money. So they went and got these players like Barcola and these young guys. They put them into their squad because they've built a squad for the next 5-8 years. So they're not going to sell somebody like Barcola unless you give them an unbelievable amount of money, and we're not going to do that for sure. So what else do we have on the docket for today? There was an update about Joao Gomes somewhere, so once I find that, I will bring it to you. Ben Jacobs did say on Elliot Anderson real quick in the midfield. He said, I'd be surprised if he's not playing for either Manchester United or Manchester City next season. I'm told he's a top target for both clubs because he's young, affordable, has a high ceiling, and offers long-term value if fours go down. There could also be a deal that there could also be a deal there at a reasonable price. Well, yeah, I think that's how it is right now. Like, it's between United and City. I don't think he's really going anywhere else. So, in small news, FA have released data that shows that Manchester United have paid £31.77 million in agent fees between the 4th of February 2025 and the 2nd of February 2026. So basically 1 year. We are the 6th highest in the Premier League in agent fees. which, to be honest, isn't bad at all. Because, I mean, if you're talking about a top 6, we were probably number 1 at one point. We were probably paying the highest amount of agent fees. We are number 6, so I think actually that's quite good. And if you're talking about a traditional top 6, listen, I don't know exactly top 6. I think Chelsea is the highest. They've paid £65 million, which is like insane. In £65 million in agent fees. Okay, United have paid 31. Villa have paid 38 million. Arsenal have paid 32 million. Liverpool have paid 33 million, and City have paid 37 million. So, it is quite a lot of money for agent fees. I think people also have to sort of take that into account as to, when people talk about net spend. That's why people like Terry Flowers, and including myself, Terry Flowers taught me about it, but I'm fully bought in, and I agree because it's true. Net spend, when people say net spend is bullshit. It's not real. It's not like an accurate representation. It's a very simplified, inaccurate version because it's an easy talking point, and I guess it's easier for the masses to sort of understand. So that's why, when people talk net spend and all this bullshit, like, it's not an accurate representation of how money is done, how the spend is done. And this is one of the reasons, because they don't take that into account. When they give you net spend, okay, they don't take into account that United are spending 31.77 million agent fees. They don't factor that in. So, or they do, but they don't tell you, they don't tell you. Like, they tell you the player, we paid 80 million for him. But if we paid, I don't know, 10 million in agent fees, well, we didn't, the 10 million is going to the agent. It's not for the player. It's because it's part of the process. So, like, okay, the total package was 80 million for the player, but really we paid 70 for him. We had to pay 10 million to the agent. It's not that has nothing to necessarily do with the player. It doesn't have to do anything with his performance, or anything like that. It's just going to the agent. But they don't explain that to you. They just put it all on the player because it's very simplified. So, what else do we have just to close out today and close out the show? We got this update again about Jared Brantwaite still being linked to us, still being, I don't know why they bring it up every once in a while. It's like, it's quite annoying. He's one of those players who's linked to us, never happened, and we quite clearly moved away from that because that was something like under Ten Hag, and we're like 2 managers removed now from there, and they just bring them up every once in a while. But apparently Everton have no intention of selling Brantwaite amid fresh links with Manchester United. 23-year-old is fully committed to the Toffees. That's fine. I don't think we're over him anyway. We don't really want him. I mean, if we're gonna get a centre back, we'll go get somebody else. To me, that was like, ship has sailed on that. Like, there was hype around him that one time. Could have happened, didn't happen. It's been a couple years now. There's other targets and other players that I would prefer to get over Jared Brantwaite. Schlotterbeck, who has been linked to us as well, has stalled contract talks with Dortmund, which the club believe is due to fresh interest from Liverpool and Manchester United. He is another option that we could possibly get at centre back. I don't know if we're going to go and get a centre back, but we will see. Casemiro did say, he was talking about Kobe Mainoo, and Casemiro said Mainoo for me is both the present and the future. He's already one of the best number 8s, and if he stays focused, he can remain at that level for many years, and that's what many people that back Kobe Mainoo and like Kobe Mainoo, believe in Kobe Mainoo, that's how we view him. So it's a good, I guess, cosign from Casemiro. People love Cass, especially right now. But, he's had a very fantastic career, top player. And it's a very good cosign from him for that. So, and many of us do believe that. That's why we rate Kobe, because that's how we see him. So, for sure. We did have, but this came from the shit source. So there was these talks that we may be in for Miles Lewis-Skelly, and that Miles Lewis-Skelly is sort of pushing from his end to get out of Arsenal, and he's potentially looking to come to United, maybe doing something similar to Aiden Heaven and Cheeto Obi. And United are reportedly at least slightly interested because he could be played at left back, but we could also use him as a center mid option, which kind of is like two birds for one stone for our situation at the very least. Like, he could be somebody that is, we talked about the third midfielder. He could be an option like that we could use him maybe at left back, or we could use him at center mid. He is versatile. United are looking at versatile players. They want versatile players. And I think he's a decently good player as well. So, but this update came from Indy Kyla, and he is a shit source, and he sucks. So I don't really want to talk too much about this, but there was other updates that didn't come from him in previous days. So yeah. Yeah, if you ever see an update, I'll just tell you this, guys. If you ever see an update anywhere you get from your news and it says Indy Kyla, okay, just scroll past it. Don't even read it. The guy is the worst thing to happen to football transfer news ever. I mean, his stories suck, or their stories. I don't even know if it's a he or it's a group. I have no fucking clue, but whoever they are, or he is, or she is, okay, they are just clickbait bullshit. They're fake. They have no real sources. They put out fake stories. I hate how this specific, I don't see all of them do it, but some of the United aggregators, I get very pissed off at them for continuing to keep this guy sort of, or persons relevant. Because when they put out these tweets, you should not be aggregating it. You should not be retweeting it. Just let that dude die. Like, he puts out the worst, most fakest bullshit transfer stories there is. So if you ever see a report and that guy or that person or whatever they are tagged in it, just don't even fucking don't even waste your time, because they literally put out stories about United all the time, and they were right one time in the summer about one thing, and they've never been right ever again. And I think that was I forgot who it was, but one of the top English journalists. We have them to blame because he gave them credit, and the second he sort of credited them, everybody thought that they were like this super credible journalist, and then they just continued on with just fake click bullshit. That they have no real sources. Like, it's literally the equivalent of, like, if I came on this show and just every day I was just like, Manchester United. If I started off every show and I'm just like, we've gotten exclusive reports today that Manchester United have made formal contact with Sandro Tonali. Moves have advanced and the deal is looking quite serious. And I did that every day. I don't have contacts. I don't fucking know anybody. But I could do that if I want to. People will call me out and some people will believe me, but that's what these people do. Like, they don't have any sources. They're fucking full of shit. So, yeah, we're not going to bother ourselves with that. We do have this, which is from Record Portugal, which you do have to take with a grain of salt as well. But, Manchester United are targeting Samuel Dahl, or Dale, DAHL, I don't know how you pronounce that exactly, for left back. They've scouted him over 10 times and are impressed. With the summer move already being explored, Benfica will demand more than 12 million due to a sell-on clause. Well, that is a cheap deal that we could do, and maybe one that maybe we end up doing, because you can get him in. I don't know anything about this player. I would expect him to be on the young side. And for 12 million, he's got to be on the young side. He's 23 years of age, so actually he's not that young. I mean, I was thinking maybe he was 18, but he's 23, so maybe he just ain't that good, really. But he's played 26 matches in Portugal. He has a goal and assist, so it doesn't seem like he's one that is going to help us in terms of attacking output. He's played 9 Champions League matches, has one goal in there. He's 5'7", and he's a Swedish international. So I don't know, but cheap deal maybe there. You could do that. I mean, listen, I asked him to do something like Sonny Lemons. He could be something like that. Cheap deal, 23-year-old. Portuguese league. It's not a massive risk. Could be good, could not be good enough, but I think that's something fine as long as we do more, obviously, on top of that. So this was the update about Joao Gomes that I mentioned just before, coming from Caught Offside. Manchester United are exploring a move for Joao Gomes, admired for his energy, ball-winning ability, and composure in the midfield. Wolverhampton Wanderers' potential relegation could significantly lower his asking price. There's nothing new there. Same old shit. So yeah. So yeah, we'll see, what happens. With that, now this one is a bit interesting because this is coming from ESPN. Okay, at regular ESPN, not even ESPN. Like one of the journalists from ESPN, just ESPN account. And this has to do with RB Leipzig, and it has to do with their player called Castello Luqueba, who is a very exciting young centre back. And it says RB Leipzig are willing to sell Castello Luqueba for 65 to 70 million euros, below his 80 million euro clause. He prefers the Premier League, with Manchester United interested. And that comes interesting because obviously we have Vivell, and Vivell is direct head of recruitment, and obviously he's worked for RB Leipzig, he's worked for the RB group, so. And he has been one that has been mentioned here and there before in the past, along with a couple other players from RB Leipzig. But it's a bit interesting that they're willing to, this update saying they're willing to sell him below the release clause. Which, listen, if they are actually willing to do that, that's one that maybe we end up doing, because that would obviously come across to us as a very good deal. We'd obviously rely heavily on, Vivell. And they would obviously go to Vivell, like Wilcox and Barada would go to Vivell and ask him for his opinion on Castello, if he would sign him, and I guess, the price. And if Vivell sort of gives his blessings or his graces and says, listen, he's a good talent, he'd be able to work in the Premier League and Manchester United and in the team, and we're getting him for that price, do the deal, then maybe we go for him. So maybe one to watch. We'll keep an eye on, see if anything develops further than that. And Mail Sport was reporting on Miles Lewis Skelly, saying he's pushing for a move to Manchester United in search for more first-team minutes. United values versatility with the ability to play both left back and midfield, and I did mention that just before. So, and anything else that we did not cover for today, because there was a good amount of news. We can't cover the rest of everything else, but I think we did a very good job not being live for a week. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of different possibilities. First show back 1 week in, or 1 week later. Yeah, a lot of people very hyped about JJ Gabriel. JJ Gabriel doing very good in the under 18s Premier League. I mean, he scored 19 goals this season, the most of any player, and he has 11 more than any other 15-year-old. So in his age group, he's quite clearly like miles above anybody that's his age. So, and he's probably close to outperforming people that are a year or two older than him as well. If he's so high above people that are his age, he's definitely pushed into the bracket in the people that are above him. So I think next season we'll see JJ Gabriel for sure. They would have liked to get JJ Gabriel in this season at some point. We couldn't do it because of the age restriction, but we will see. Natasha Olive says Tonali to Real Madrid and Anderson to City done deals. They're not done deals. And we will see how that goes, but they are absolutely not done deals. And I will say it could happen that they go there, but I don't think there's anything that's done about them. I think that I think City can be in pole position to get him. They could be in the number 1 spot or the favorites, sure. And if you want to say Real Madrid are favorites to get Tonali, fine, but the deals are definitely not done. They're not close to being done. And I think even for Elliot Anderson, and I've been saying this for like months now, since January, I don't think Elliot Anderson's deal will be completed until after the World Cup. So, because I don't think he's going to make an actual decision until he comes from the World Cup, which many players do. So he could still end up at City, but the deals are not done. That's not true. United will not pay top price. But they are, I'm telling you. I know that it is done, money talks. Yeah, but they're not actually done though, are they? Because if they're done, they would announce the deals. So they're not done. There's negotiations ongoing. Okay, between different teams. We are still there. And it would be reported. I mean, number one, I think if that was true, United would be distancing themselves as well. So I don't think United would be. I don't think if the deals were done, United would know that it would be done and that they have no chance. And if that's the case, we would be getting stories saying United would start distancing themselves because if there's no chance for them to get them, they're going to look really bad. So they're not going to go with it. So I think it's actually quite still open. We might not be in the number one position. Maybe City's ahead of us. And ultimately, maybe they do get him. I think that they have a very good chance to get him if they actually go for him and they actually want him. Sure. But I don't think anything is final right now. So, and as for United will not pay top price, well, could be true. I mean, depends what you mean by top price. I mean, if we want to pay 80 million, I think they would be willing to pay 70, 80 million. But if they say 100 million or City come and put in 100 million and they come to us and say, well, you got to match it, then we say maybe no. That one can very well happen. It's fine. United will get Baleba and Wharton. Could very well be. Could very well be. Yeah, but it's all spin stories from United like usual. Sure. Could very well be. But if I play devil advocates with you on that, okay? Like I was just saying, well, they could play devil advocate. They could spin the story to hype us all up, but then they're not very smart, are they? Because if you're not going to get these players, well, we're going to find out. All right? And the longer you continue with this, we've made them our number one target, we're pushing very hard, we want them, and you know you're not going to get them. It's going to go very bad for you at the end anyway. So, I don't know. For me personally, I mean, if I was there and I know that we have absolutely no chance and those deals are essentially done, I would start putting out news and distancing the club away from that to reshift the focus. Because all that's happening right now is that fans are getting very hyped because they think that we can get Elliot Anderson and we can get Tonali or we can get one of the two and get somebody else and we're going to have a very big summer. And we don't have an actual chance of getting them because the deal's already done. So what's going to happen is all the fans are going to look at that and be like, Ineos failed. You guys suck. And then when we end up getting Baleba and Joao Gomes, everybody's going to look at that and go, well, Ineos are full of shit. And you guys suck because you said we were going to get Elliot Anderson and we were going to get Tonali. And we've gotten Joao Gomes and we've gotten Baleba, who is not on the same level. So, I don't know, if I was Ineos and I knew that, which you would know very well, okay? If you don't stand a chance and the deal is pretty much done, I would be coming out in the media, pushing it through people, and just start shifting away from that. Because the more you let this go on, the more people are going to believe it's going to happen. And if you don't actually stand a chance, then I think you're a fool for doing such a thing. Yeah, but earlier in the week, We're in, then they were out. United have been here with Delap, then he ended up at Chelsea. Well, yeah, I think that's sort of normal though. Like I do think that we are in there. I don't think the deal is done, and I think there is a chance, and we are trying to get them. It doesn't mean that we're actually going to get them though. That's just how football works. Like, but I don't think the deal is actually done. I don't believe that. I think it's very open, and I think they genuinely want him. Doesn't mean we're gonna get him. We can lose out, but I don't think we're in the path right now of Elliot Anderson has already decided he wants to go to City. Manchester United have a 0% chance of getting him, and United are playing a game in that they are promising that we're going to get Elliot Anderson, where they very much well know we're not going to get him, and then he's going to go to City, and then they're going to come out and say, look, we tried. I don't think that's the case. I think that it's still open. We're gonna try and go head to head with City. We can ultimately lose and fail that, like it's happened. Okay, the same thing was for Delap. We wanted Delap. It was very open. At the end of the day, Delap made a decision and went to Chelsea. That's pretty typical and normal. United like cheaper players, like usual. Well, define cheaper though. I do agree that I don't think that they really want to pay 100 million for any specific player. I think they're trying to stay under some sort of certain budget, which could lead us to missing out on a player and not getting him. But I think they could spend anywhere from 60 to 80 million for two players in the midfield for each player. So I do think that, like, for Elliot Anderson, for example, I think they would be willing to go up to 80. I think the same thing for Tonali. I think 80 is probably what they would like to get for him, if they can. If it goes to 100, I don't think they really want to do that. We may lose him out for that reason. But when you say cheaper, like, you could define cheaper as, instead of paying 80, we go and get a guy for 45, 50 million. Which, I mean, if you do that, we really are only getting a certain level of player, aren't we? Which I have argued in the past, and I know you're new, but I've argued in the past, you do that sort of thing, that's how you end up being Spurs. That's how you end up being shit. You fall away further and further away, so. Yes, but like I said to someone the other day, Carrick is going to be the manager. He is a yes man. To a certain degree. I mean, you missed the whole part of the show that I just did, but I said that I do believe that Carrick's going to be the manager as well. And one, it's because, I mean, the list has quite dwindled down, okay? And options like Enrique and Ancelotti and Tuchel are all off the table for one reason or another, but, I mean, they're gone. And they're high-level managers status. And the other guys I don't really rate, okay? Like, De Zerbi was listed. He's not there anymore, but I wouldn't want him anyway. Glasner, I don't rate. Iriola was mentioned to us. Don't think there's much in him compared to Carrick. And I said, really, it's really down to Carrick and Julian Nagelsmann. Emery was linked as well, but again, not fully convinced by Emery either. I think the best he is a fourth place manager. His main position, he's finished over the course of his managerial time. His average league finish position is 4th to 5th place. So yeah, for the manager though, I mean, it is a plus that Carrick's done well. It is a plus that Carrick is cheaper. Like, yes, to get Enrique in, you're going to have to pay Enrique more money. Enrique's probably going to want a higher level of a manager, of players. Carrick, I wouldn't say he's necessarily I don't really like the word yes man, because it just makes Carrick kind of seem like he goes in there and says, yeah, like Carrick will have his own demands, but it's just not going to be to maybe the extent of somebody like a Enrique. You know, it won't be to the same hardcore level, I guess. It'll be on a lower level. But, you know, he's obviously still going to want players. He's still going to make his own demands. I don't think Carrick is like... Because I feel like it's a bit disrespectful to Carrick to say he's a yes man. I understand what people are trying to say when they say that, but I don't use that term because it just makes it sound like Carrick is like this guy that just is going to walk in there and say, yes, master. Yes, boss. Like, he's not actually going to do that, right? He's just not going to have the same sort of high-level demands as somebody like an Enrique who has won, you know, Champions Leagues and has operated at the highest level, right? They're going to want a lot more. They're going to demand a whole lot more. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that happening, and that could very well be. So, you know, I think that could happen. And I do also believe, like, you know, I think it is between Carrick and Nagelsmann. I think those are the only two sort of realistic options that are left that are actually decent. Continue with what we got going on now and see how that goes, or get Julian Nagelsmann. But I did say, like 30 minutes ago, concern with Julian Nagelsmann that I have is that, well, we got to pay to get him out because he's under contract to Germany. Might not be a lot, but we still have to pay to get him out. And I do feel like Ineos aren't looking to really buy somebody out because they've already sort of done this thing where they've spent money on managers, buying them out or sacking them. And for people that have been operating the club in the terms of penny pinching and saving money everywhere, well, they are aware that people are criticizing them for wasting money, essentially, and they're not going to be happy about that either. So that might be something that definitely does impact it and be like, well, listen, you know, we could just go with Carrick. It's cheaper, and you know, he wasn't in a job, so we didn't have to pay to get him out, and we're not going to have to pay him as much money as maybe like, you know, Nagelsmann or Enrique or Carlo Ancelotti. We'd have to pay them a lot more money, and if we and in the contract, if we sack them early, we're going to have to pay them a lot more money, you know. So there is that. I do buy into that. It's like a child who wants the best toys and they get a cheaper one. Yeah, and that won't work. Like, I do fully agree with that. You know, Natasha. I've been saying that as well. Like, I do agree with that. Like, you know, you can't half-ass the plan. But so, like, I'm waiting just for the confirmation, you know, because as we go along, okay, we'll see what happens. And if they do like what you're saying, and what, you know, you're not the only one that's said these things. There's many people, many United fans have been saying this sort of thing. I'm sort of just leaving it open. And I'm saying, well, they can do something really good. I'm not like, I'm not saying like they're definitely 100% going to do it. And there's just, you know, what you're saying, Natasha, is not possible. And they're not going to do it because I believe so much in Ineos. Really, my stance is just like, I just sort of, I'm leaving it a bit open. I'm like, well, they have an opportunity to do something really good. And we have the ability to do it because we should have the finances. And we can actually go and do it. If they choose to do that, very good. I'll be very happy. And I'm going to give them credit. If they choose to go the opposite way, well, then they're a bunch of dickheads. They're full of shit. And, you know, I guess you guys who have doubted him from the beginning, you know, you'll be vindicated in your initial thoughts. But, you know, I'll be there as well, and I'll be like, well, now we're fucked, aren't we? You know, now they've shown us another card from the hand, and it ain't a good card. So it's sort of another point in the tally of, you know, they're full of shit, they're bad, this isn't good, this is a shit project, or it's not a real project, or it's just a scam. The word they use is the project, but if they need money for the new stadium, so little money for players. Well, yes, I can understand that, sure, but supposedly it's supposed to be private funding, and, you know, I think that could be true. They could do that, I'm sort of hoping that doesn't happen, because you could technically get private funding, and then obviously the money would have to be paid back once you actually get the stadium from the revenue, which many teams have done, and Arsenal did it. Spurs have done it to a certain extent, where after the stadium is built, then they really don't have the money for players because they need to pay the investors back. But they haven't really moved there yet, and we haven't really gotten an actual financial decision on that, because they're saying they're looking for outside investment, but nothing is like actually done yet. They're still negotiating for the land, so we got to kind of see what happens there. But I do think that problem could run into a little bit later on. And I do think one of the things that they have been trying to do is sort of clean the books up a little bit on United to make the club more attractive on paper. I think that's one of the things the Glazers learned when they pretended that they were going to sell the club, because they were never going to sell the club, ever. Never believed for a second that they were going to sell the club. And I think that's one of the things the Glazers learned when they pretended like they were going to sell the club. I think they and that's why we see Ineos sort of cleaning up the club. It's to make it more attractive. It's to make it more investable. It's to make the value of the club go even higher. So you got to clean up little things where you're wasting and burning money, which is why we're seeing them cut money from places, United is being run like a business, like Newcastle used to be, and I think by Christmas that Carrick will be sacked and United will be right back to square one. Well, listen, if that happens, I mean, this is sort of the path that we have to go down anyway. I'm sorry, that was I didn't even realize. I thought that was Natasha. You both have N's. Niall Bradley, Bradley. Oh, Natasha did say that. Niall says, commiserations to the Man United women getting out of the Champions League tonight, everyone. Yeah. Listen, they had a good run, so, and they'll go again next year. They're getting better and better, as season's gone on. I think, was this the furthest they've gone so far? So I think, that's sort of a positive. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure. So that's good. But hopefully we get to see them ultimately win the Prem, the women's Prem, and the Women's Champions League. We want them to do well. But on what Natasha was saying, well, yes, United is run like a business. It absolutely is. It has been. It has to be to a certain degree, because there is a lot of money involved, and you need to operate it in a certain way. We've been run more overtly like a business more than a football club, which is not what we want, of course. But there's certain things that, like, listen, we can't. Here's the thing: think back to like Woodward or Richard Arnold. Okay, a lot of the transfer dealings that we were doing, all right, everybody was complaining at the time. These are really shit deals. We're spending a shit ton of money and we're giving a shit ton of wages to players that are shit, and we're not winning things, and we suck. And everybody was like, stop spending all the fucking money like that. And then Ineos sort of come in and do that in a way, but now people are going the other way on it, and they're like, yeah, but now they're being cheap and it's all Glazer business 101. Like, there's got to be a balance in there. Is there not? Like, we can't be blowing ridiculous amount of money, but we also can't go too cheap. So I think, like, the money that Ineos has spent on players, I actually think has been good. Like, I think it's been fair shot. I don't agree that they don't spend money in January. They definitely run it like a business in that way. I think that's, a disgrace and can never be allowed to be done. And I think a club like United should be doing business in January. We actually needed to do business in January because it would help us in our project. And the fact that they don't do it is, still an element of the Glazers, because the Glazers, they hate January. They don't spend money in the first quarter. That's what businesses do, and we don't spend money in the first quarter. In the past 2 Januaries, we needed players. It would have helped Ruben. It would have helped us. If it doesn't help us in the immediate, it helps us later on. It's one less guy we got to, one less player or one less deal that we got to do in the summer. Ruben needed more than just Dorgu 2 Januaries ago. All he got was Dorgu. Look how the rest of that season went for him. We could have used a player in this January. We didn't get one. They got a bit lucky with Carrick. Okay. But going into a World Cup, okay, the transfer window is going to be shorter. So if we were managed to get at least even one player this January for a position that we need, whether it be left back somewhere, anywhere, that you can get a player and put him in. It doesn't have to be a world-class signing. It doesn't have to be some guy for 80 million, but just somebody that you find that you say, okay, well, decent price, 30, 40 million, okay, in a position that the club needs to strengthen, and we don't have to worry about this in the summer. One less deal. We'll be one step ahead further. They didn't do that. So, but when Carrick gets sacked, Southgate will be next in line. See, that I don't believe. The Southgate thing was being run by Dan Ashworth. Dan Ashworth was kicked out of the club, sacked from his job, and Gareth Southgate was basically never seriously considered again. Dan Ashworth was the guy driving Gareth Southgate, and the only reason why Gareth Southgate continued to get linked to us is because he's English, we're Manchester United, and the English journalists kept driving that story afterwards. But Dan Ashworth was the one that seriously wanted Gareth Southgate, and he ain't here. So they ain't gonna get Gareth Southgate. And if they do, I mean, I ain't watching the season, so, have fun with that. Have fun with that, If I were Ineos, says Sandy Lezulu, if I were Ineos this summer, I was going to buy Tonali for 87 and Anderson for 100 and Lewis Skelly and get Baleba on loan with an option to buy 60 million and close the window. What are you playing, FIFA career mode? I mean, that would never happen. But, listen, you could do a Tonali for 87 million and you could do an Anderson for 100 if we have the money for that. You could do that. You could get a Lewis Skelly as well. We just talked about him. He's quite versatile. Can play left back and can play center mid. Okay, and I don't know how much he would go for, but I don't think he's not going to go for like a whole lot because he's not like a main starter at Arsenal and he's pushing to leave. But you ain't getting Baleba on loan. Brighton don't even really want to sell Baleba as it is. They ain't gonna loan him to us, and we need much more than just a couple midfielders. We do need a left winger. We do need a left back or a right back. So we need to get more than just central midfielders. It should not be. Natasha says it should not be about the project. It should be about the best team to win trophies. I example the Premier League. What do you mean, like the project to build the stadium? I agree, but the project. Well, yeah, I don't know what you mean by it shouldn't be about the project. Which project? Because I deem the project is what you're saying is like the best to build the best team to win trophies. But if you're talking about like building the stadium, then yes. But these are the people we have. The Glazers still own the club. The Glazers' ultimate goal is money. The Glazers want, and it's been stated a few times, and I believe them, they want 10 billion plus for Manchester United. And I don't, listen, I'm not defending the Glazers, but I can understand why they want it, okay? The Laker organization was just sold. The LA Lakers, the NBA team, was just sold for 10 billion. Manchester United is 4 to 5 times bigger than the Lakers, okay? Because football is a global sport. It's a way bigger sport than the NBA. And Manchester United is way bigger than the Lakers all over the world. And United, in its current form, when they went to go sell, the only person, which was Qatar, was willing to give them 5.5 billion. That's what the sale was about. They wanted to see if somebody would give them, how much somebody would give them. Once they figured out that the only option that we could really get to sell the club is 5.5 billion, that's why they were never going to go with that, because it didn't hit their target, and they were always going to take a partial investment, because their next phase is, okay, we are actually valued at 5.5 billion. How do we get the club to be 10 billion? Because nobody wants to give us this money right now. So we're going to have to fix things up to make it more attractive. It's like a house to them. It's like having a house, and the house is maybe like, you know, in a decent place, like property-wise, but, the windows are old, and the kitchen is old, and, there's some things that need to be updated. The grass isn't taken care of well, or whatever. So what do you got to do? You got to look at the house. You got to say, well, we got to fix some things up. We got to make it look nicer, put things that cost more value into it so that the value goes up, and then we can sell it for the price that we want, which is, I think, ultimately what they were always wanted to do. And them being from America, looking at that, and they're saying there is no way that we are going to sell this club for 5 billion or 6 billion when we got teams in America that are half the brand of Manchester United, and they're going for 8 billion, 9 billion, and 10 billion. We should be getting double, but they can't because of the way they sort of run this club, okay? They let Old Trafford decay. We have an old stadium compared to these new modern ones that are being built, okay? We can't host... We're not allowed to host World Cup or Euro games or finals in them because our stadium is that much of a downgrade. We don't hold concerts in them like Tottenham do, okay? Or any of these new stadiums like Arsenal Stadium, they hold concerts. We can't get any of this revenue, okay? That's like, they're losing a lot of money there. They're losing a lot of value. It's, when you go to sell the club, that's a pitching point as well. Well, we got a brand new multi-billion-dollar stadium. We're pulling in all this revenue from here as well. It's the best in the world, state in the art. They don't have that to sell. So we will, we'll see. I bet I am proven right. Well, you could very well be. Well done to Arsenal FC women's game today, Women's Champions League semifinal. Did they win? The word Amarim used to use the word the project. Let the Saudis buy the club. United would be the best of the best. Yeah, sure, you could let the Saudis buy the club, but the point is, let's put it this way. Our owners will tell them we want 10 billion, and the Saudis are going to tell them it ain't worth 10 billion. You're $1 billion in debt, or close to $1 billion in debt. The stadium is falling apart and you need a new one. The squad hasn't won a Premier League trophy for 13 years, needs massive investment into it. We're not giving you 10 billion. And the Glazers are going to say, yeah, but we value it at 10 billion and we believe it's going to be worth well over 10 billion in the next 5 to 10 years. So give us 10 billion. And they're going to be like, no, because they might have all the money in the world, but nobody, whether you have $10 to your name, 10 pounds, 10 euros, whatever currency you use, whether you got 10 in your bank account or you got 10 billion, nobody wants to overpay for something. So, sure, let the Saudis buy it. I don't care. But I'm saying it's not going to happen until the Glazers can figure out how to get the money that they so desperately want. Because they believe that's what it is. And I can see how they believe that. Because like I'm saying, you have other sports teams that are half the size of football in the world, and they're being sold for way more than what United, what the offer from Qatar was, or what the offer anybody put in for United. And so if that's the case, I know the Glazers, not personally, but I know how they operate, and I know what kind of people they are, and they're not going to sell the club until the valuation that they believe is met. So they will be here, and they will do whatever it takes to get there. And the Glazers have not taken an L, okay, anywhere, at any time, and they continue to make more money from Manchester United. And I do truly believe they will ultimately get their money at some point. They will ultimately win this thing. They are not going to lose this thing. Many people out there believe that if Ineos fails or something, the Glazers go and they'll be forced into a sale. They won't let that happen. They will do whatever they need to do to stay there to get their money. They have not ever taken an L yet. I haven't seen it. It hasn't happened, and I don't expect it to happen. These people are very well connected. Very, very well connected. And if you look at all the dealings that their family has done over the course of their lifetime, they have done nothing but make monumental amounts of money off of absolute steals and bargains. And they have gotten their way every single step of the way. Every single step of the way. Okay, if you look at what they did in the NFL, all right, absolute steal what they got that team for. Compared to what it's worth now. Monumental bargain. They got a stadium built for them for free from that NFL team. They put pressure on the city to build it for them. That sounds very familiar, doesn't it? They're kind of doing the same thing here again. They're getting a stadium built for them. They're not putting in any money. It's going to go on the club. It's going to go on private investors. They'll pay them back one way or another, but they ain't putting in any money. They ain't spending a dime on this. They didn't spend a dime to acquire our club. They've taken out dividends. They put us on the stock market. So, okay, explain to me why United were good in the past, but now just not very good. Why we were good in the past and now not just very good? Because we had a person... Well, here's the thing. When the Glazers took over Manchester United, we were already successful. And so when the Glazers came in, we were on autopilot. We had people there. Okay? They were already established. The Glazers came in, they didn't really touch anything. They didn't... Sir Alex was there. David Gill and all the other people that were behind the scenes. They didn't sack anybody. They didn't get rid of anybody. They just came in. They bought the club. The club's already successful. And let's start making money from them. So all they were doing was like autopilot. They're reaping the rewards because United continued to be successful. We had all the people in place. We had the structure that was built previously. Okay? And that's why we were good, because they didn't really touch anything. And we had Sir Alex, and we had other people that worked with Sir Alex who were absolute legends. David Gill was a fantastic, sort of CEO. And the other people that don't get mentioned a lot, but those people were important. Okay, once that era came to an end, what did they do to Manchester United? They said, well, the old fart, okay, because that's what I kind of feel like they view him as. I'm not saying that, but I kind of view it as, well, the old fart's out of our way, and we dismantled everything that was associated to him and what was built. As soon as Sir Alex retired, we fired a bunch of people. David Gill went, Sir Alex went, a bunch of other people went. They put in their own CEO. They hired their own people. Okay, and what did they do? They said the club went completely commercial. Because they wanted to make money. But the problem is, like Everton have a lovely stadium, but mid-table team. This is what could happen to United. This could what happened to United, but there's nothing that we could do about it, is there? There's something that we could do, but our fan base is incapable of doing it. So when I say there's nothing we can do about it, it's because our fan base is never going to be able to sort itself out and actually do what is needed to be done, what is necessary to be done. There is two options that have always been there. Well, not always been there. There's one option that's always been there, and there's another option going on right now. There is no movement on these fronts at all, okay? Number one, if we're going to do anything about it, that stadium needs to be empty. Majority empty. Never going to happen. United fans can't figure out how to do this. Nobody can come to an agreement. there's too much infighting and people do their own thing. So, that stadium will never be empty. So that's an L for us. That's the only place that we could really beat the Glazers at. If we empty the stadium for as long as possible, we can actually win because they won't be able to survive off of that. But we keep them alive. We keep them to keep going. As long as we give them match day revenue, they can keep going. It's guaranteed money. The other thing that our fan base can do right now is protest the building of the new stadium, because it's not, they're still very far away from getting the actual groundwork like going. Okay, they need to buy out a plot of land that they have not bought out yet, and there's negotiations. Nothing has actually started being built, and they still need to secure the funding. So now would be the opportunity for the people in the area to go to the mayor of Manchester, protest the building of it, try and put pressure on the elected officials, because they are politicians and they could be easily swayed, because they need the public to succeed in their career. So they will do what the public to appease the public. If they go and they protest the stadium and they make it extremely hard for it to be built and they ruin this, well, that's a W that we can win. Neither of these things are happening, and the more time that waits on the stadium front, the less opportunity we have to do it. And after a certain point, it will be too late. It will be too late to stop them. So there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing. Like, if we become a team that has this amazing stadium and we're mid-table, that's what we are. And that's what we're going to be. Until the day the Glazers get the money that they feel like is worth, and then maybe they sell. Ultimately. They might never sell, to be quite honest, because a lot of these rich people, okay, they pass it down. So, Avram and Joel, they have kids. They could just decide to keep this thing for the next 30 years and give it to their sons. Could be a thing as well. But look at City. See, two, though they are owned they are so successful, United could have this. Yes, I understand that, but it's a different story. The people that own Manchester City, they have a shit ton of money, and it's a different aspect. Like Saudi Arabia, okay, and these Middle Eastern countries. Okay, and not to get too political, because we don't do politics here, but this isn't, some people call it sports washing or whatever you want to call it, but it is a genuine thing. These Middle Eastern countries, their economy relies on oil, or has relied on oil for a really long time. Now, they've accumulated a lot of money because of this over a period of time. They are now branching out so that, and it's smart and it's logical to do so, they are branching out into other places. Okay, so that their economy is not solely relied and tied to oil, which is smart. That's what you should do. You should have, they say get multiple incomes as a regular person. Same thing for their countries. Get multiple incomes. You shouldn't be just an oil country. It's better for your country if you get money from oil, but you also get money now from sports, and you get money from, these other ventures that you're doing, so you can spread your wings a little bit, and you're a bit more you have a bit more of a better portfolio going on, right? So with these Middle Eastern with these Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, for example, they don't actually need the money. Like, they're operated in a totally different way. Their owner, he's super fucking rich. He didn't buy Manchester City to make money from them. He bought Manchester City to make it the best, because it's going to go under his country's name, his name, and it's going to be a positive for them, and be like, look what happens when you do business with Saudi Arabia. They come in, they will fucking make you the best, and they will do the proper thing. It's a totally different thing. We have Glazers, their only self-interest is themselves. They don't give a shit about anybody else. And they only care about making the dollar. You know, that's their only ultimate goal. The other side of it, this is a whole different perspective and a whole nother thing that's going on, which is why you see the big difference that's going on here. Why are United playing boring football at the moment? Well, I wouldn't say it's boring football. We need better players. We need more high quality players, but also we need to actually have, sort of a plan that we actually stick with, because we keep chopping and changing. And okay, maybe we do it less than Chelsea, but yeah, we have never. No manager has gotten to the third year, or has had 3 full years, and every time we do this, we basically go from one idea to the next idea. We can't make progress. Okay? So I wouldn't say we're necessarily playing boring football. It's not that boring. It's not the most elite, but we need time for that. One, we need somebody to actually stay here and see their full vision out, which we can't. We've never done that to a certain extent. We always, somewhere halfway through, stop fully backing them, stop believing them, and then it crashes and burns and we start over again. And we need higher quality players. Nelson says English fans don't have the ability or lack the temerity to not go in the stadium. Well, I wouldn't just say it's just the English fans, though. Manchester United have a very big problem in that. Listen, and this is why I don't like to have this conversation in terms of not because I don't want to talk about it, but because it gets very volatile. Okay, so you say English fans, right? And the English fans, which they'll be the local fans will come out and say, well, it's all the tourists and it's all the internationals. And really, at the end of the day, we're all Manchester United fans for the most part, right? There's some people that are just, they show up there because they're business and it's like a cool thing to do and they don't really give a fuck about the team. But this is how we end up losing anyway, because people that are non-English, or maybe you are English and you say that anyway, but we get quite divided. Okay, the local people start blaming the international fans because they're like, oh, it's the tourist and it's a tourist attraction, and these people come from the outside and they give them money, and yeah, like that is a part of a problem. Like I do understand that. Like there are people that they do travel from all over the world to go see Manchester United, and how do you tell somebody that has never been to Old Trafford before? Just picture this scenario. You've never been to Old Trafford before. You've never seen United play a game in real life for the Premier League or Champions League or whatever, right? You buy a ticket and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to Old Trafford for the first time in my life. I'm going to actually go see the team that I love to support and watch. I'm going to go watch them in real life. And you fly from whatever country you're in. Could be Africa, could be somewhere in Asia, could be in America. Okay, you get in a plane, you pay all this money. Okay, the tickets, the flight, the accommodation, all this shit. You pay all this money, you show up to the match, and when you get to the match, there's all these fans, and they're telling you, don't go in the stadium, we're protesting the Glazers. And you're going to sit there and go, yeah, but I just spent all this fucking money to travel halfway across the world, and now you're telling me to not go in the stadium? I've never watched them play before. All right, I've never watched them play before. This is my only opportunity that maybe I get in my entire life. I just spent all this money, and you want me to not go in the stadium to watch the game now? And what do you think that person's going to say? They're going to tell you, fuck that. I'm going to watch the game. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I just spent all this money. Are you going to pay me for this? Are you going to pay me for all this shit? I just wasted all this money. I'm not going to go watch the fucking game now? So there's that aspect. There's also the aspect of the season ticket holders who, number one, there's a long list of people waiting to acquire season tickets. There's a waiting list of people to acquire season tickets. And the people that have the season tickets, one, it's been passed down in their family, a lot of them. Okay, it's either their fathers, their grandfathers, whatever. They've had the same seat for generations. So they're not really willing to give it up. Now, some of them said they would give it up if they knew that nobody would end up taking it. But what happens is they're very well aware that there is literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people in a queue waiting for you, whoever you are, Edward, or whatever your name is, to cancel your season ticket. And as soon as you cancel it, your season ticket is gone within 1.5 seconds. So they're not going to cancel the season tickets. So collectively, as a whole, Manchester United fans, local and abroad, we are fucked. We are fucked from all different angles. You know, they have us, to put it bluntly, they have us by the balls. Whether you live in Manchester, or it's London, or you're in the UK, or you're from Africa, or you're from Asia, we are fucked. They have us by the balls. And that is the unfortunate truth. They don't want to build the stadium. They were hoping the government pays for the stadium. Well, yes, I mean, but technically, they get a new stadium built for them. And if the government doesn't build it for them, they will do what rich people do, which is they will use OPM. And what OPM is other people's money. So if the government doesn't do it for them, they will acquire people that will invest. People that are just investors. They will find investors. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of investors. Listen, it's going to be a brand new stadium. You can find easily people that will invest X amount of money towards the funding of that. They're not going to use their own money. The Glazers, it's not going to come out of their pockets. And, you know, we'll have to repay them once the stadium opens. We're going to have to repay them over a certain amount because, you know, they're going to want a certain percentage back. And we're going to have to give it to them. And that's going to come directly from Manchester United. That's going to come from, you know, when we have, you know, I don't know, you know, Taylor Swift doing a concert in the new Manchester United Stadium, and we're making X amount of money from that. We're going to have to do a bunch of those so we can pay the investors back. And then once we actually pay the investors back, then the Glazers can either start taking more amounts of money from there, or they can choose to sell it. They will bump up the ticket prices to get the money to build this. They will absolutely bump up the ticket prices. They will also, for the local people that live there, it will be much more expensive. Things will be more expensive. The properties will be more expensive. If you don't own the house there, it will be expensive to buy one. If you do own a house there, the property taxes and other taxes will increase. And if you don't increase the amount of money you make, you won't be able to live there anymore. And you will be pushed out of the area that you may have lived there for a very long time. This happens in every place that they do these sorts of things. And people, unfortunately, they don't realize this until it's too late. Because it doesn't happen immediately. Okay? It happens maybe after 5 years, maybe 10 years. But at some point, for that person that's lived there for 50 years, okay, it comes to a point they can no longer afford to live there because things have gotten so expensive. The wage that they make has not kept up with the prices going up and inflation. And you can literally no longer afford to live there. So you need to sell and you need to move. And the only people that can afford to live there are rich people that are probably not from that area. And the whole culture of that whole area and everything completely shifts. You know, and I'll tell you now, listen, I don't live there. I'm not from Manchester. I don't know the area very well in terms of what it's really like now and, you know, the culture and stuff like that. But I can almost guarantee you, whatever it is now, look at it in 5 to 10 years from now. And anybody from there, I guarantee you, anybody that's there now, if you ask them in 5 to 10 years, they'll tell you it's totally different and it's nothing the same. And that is a guarantee. But they will absolutely increase ticket prices. Concession prices will go up. Everything's going to go up. They're going to want their money. They want, you know, and the people will pay for it as well. So, you know, it's always a thing. £2 billion isn't something they can get by increasing ticket. No, but it can offset it. Listen, when you do things like that, every sort of, pound counts. Every penny counts. So they don't really care. Like if they need £2 billion, well, you start pulling in money from all over the place. Raise the concession prices, raise the ticket prices, start doing, events and concerts, and start getting as many things in while United aren't playing, okay, in the summer and stuff like that. Start renting it out. Start doing all sorts of things, raise the prices of the kits as well. And raise the prices of all the merch that they sell. Raise everything. Like, they can literally across the board start pulling in extra money here, pulling money here. They'll offset it. They will offset it. So, the current income generated from that is 200 mil. They will need to increase it tenfold. They will increase it. Don't worry about it. They have that locked down. They will do that. Listen, these people, they don't do things without that part's already mapped out. It's just not announced to us and people don't see it. Okay, some people are aware that it will happen, but it's not like it's not like it's happened. So they have that undercover. Believe me. There's people crunching the numbers. They already have that planned out. If we raise this to X amount of money, if we were able to get this amount of money, we'll be okay. They're not going to do something like this and then later on be like, oh, fuck, how do we get the money for it? How do we get the money back for it? They got that under control. That's already done. So, United are trying to be like Chelsea. Well, yeah, I don't really like that because we can't be like Chelsea because we don't have the money to be like Chelsea. Niall says, what do you think of the video referees in the Premier League in every league soon? What do you think of the video referees in the Premier League in every league soon? You mean like VAR? In every league? I think, you want my honest opinion on this? I think we should get rid of, I think what should happen is the ref in the VAR room needs to be removed. Okay? Removed. Get rid of, this might sound crazy, but this is the way I would go. And if you don't have it, develop it. You can develop it, okay? Get rid of the ref in the VAR room. Get rid of the person. Keep the referee on the pitch and the linesmen's, of course, okay? And turn the VAR room into an AI automated system. Feed it the code, okay? You can code it to the laws and rules of football, that it can then analyze the video, and it can then make a decision based to the letter of the law off of what it's viewing. And the referee will make a decision, and maybe you change it to, okay, you don't constantly go to VAR, or you can keep it sort of the same in terms of if there's a questionable call, like, if there was an offsides, let the refs make sort of the decision, let VAR double check it, the AI, okay? Or you could do it as a little bit Americanized, but not too much, but you don't use the AI automated VAR a lot, or for most instances, you give the managers the opportunity to challenge a call, certain calls. Maybe you give them like two each game, two each match, and they can, somehow they signal to the fourth official or something. They would like to challenge, the offsides, or, if the ball was out of bounds or not, or whatever, And then it goes to the AI automated VAR, and the automated VAR, down to the letter of the law, as it is described, will analyze the video, and it will give the decision, and then communicated to the referee. The referee then gives the call, and that's it. I think the people in the VAR room, they need to be gone. They need to be gone. Because to me, it's like, you have two refs, and humans are biased, okay? There's always a potential issue for match fixing and money, okay? And to me, it's not working, right? You have one ref on the pitch that feels one way about something. You have the ref in the VAR that feels another way about something. They're viewing two different things, and nothing is working well. So there's a couple systems in other sports, like the baseball. Okay, like MLB, they just implemented this new system where they have the umpire. If you're not familiar with baseball, the umpire is the guy that sits behind the home plate, and he calls if it's a ball or a strike. Okay, they just made this new system where the batter can challenge the call of the umpire, or the catcher can challenge the call of the umpire if it's a ball or a strike. You get two of these challenges, okay, and the system is automated. It's AI automated. So there is a target that the ball needs to hit. It views it. It's kind of like our goal line technology, really. So if the ball doesn't touch the line of the plate for the box, then it's a ball, and the call will get overturned. If it was called a strike and it's a ball. So, and I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I've been watching a little bit of it. I think it's way better. It's way better because the umps aren't even good at their job. They get calls all the time wrong. And a lot of MLB fans are saying that they absolutely love it. And it's been really good. So, and I've been saying this for time. I'm not for AI to replace all humans. But, in some of these circumstances, like sports, some of the refs are really fucking bad at their jobs. They're useless, or they're literally match fixing. Get rid of them. Let's get fucking AI in. Get them in and program them to the T. And there's no bias. It's not about feeling. It's just strictly down to the letter of the law, the rules, what it is, and that is the call. And that's it. Milan Ultras ensured that the fan base doesn't go into the stadiums. If the fans were serious, no one would pay for the season tickets. Well, listen, you gotta listen to them. They it's hard to argue with somebody that tells you they're not going to give up their season ticket when their great grandfather had this same seat, and it's not going to. It's hard to convince somebody that they've had this season ticket for generations in their family, and they know when they cancel it, it's not going to make a difference because somebody else is going to take it. So I expect tomorrow morning it will be more United spin stories. Well, there is always a lot of stories. So, what do you think of video of freezing every what? What do you think of me video of freezing every soon? What players are United going to say is top of the list tomorrow morning? Same ones. I don't think they're going anywhere. It's been quite clear Elliot Anderson is number one, and we've had all of these people targeted for some time now. So it's just going to be the same bunch until something moves in on them. Sometimes they do a little bit musical chairs, but like the Bruno Guimaraes one didn't last very long, right? But I don't think they can kind of go back on this because they were sort of doing Bruno Guimaraes Tonali. They kind of left it open-ended on both sides. But, the Bruno Guimaraes thing seems very much closed now. So it seems like Bruno Guimaraes closed. Tonali is the one that is going to go. So I think same stories. Elliot Anderson, Wharton, Baleba, Joao Gomes, Tonali. Same guys that have been being mentioned for months now. Really, most of them, anyway. Even the football shirts are expensive, but yet go to Morocco's, you can get them cheaper. Why? But yet go to Morocco's. Well, do you mean like the Moroccan jerseys? Or like you mean United jerseys in Morocco? Because United jerseys in Morocco, maybe they're not the official ones. I don't know. Or because people in Morocco, maybe they can't afford to pay a certain price, so they gotta make them cheaper there. Old Trafford is in the industrial area, so there are very few residential houses. Secondly, the whole point of them wanting the stadium is because of the largest city of Manchester revamp. Well, that I know that they're gonna like revamp the whole Manchester area, but I did see like there is images of the model that they showed that there's gonna be like houses. I don't know how many houses there is there, but there is a bunch of houses at least in the graphic that they showed, and the regeneration of the area. There is industrial there as well, because there is a bunch of companies, and one of the companies that we're dealing with. But they're sort of gonna. Here's the thing: it might be quite industrial right now, but that regeneration plan, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen a couple of them in instances, they almost turn it. It's like it becomes like a city inside of a city. Yeah, it's like a mini city inside of a city. So it sort of becomes its own little world in there. Like it has like special shops and special things, and like, you know, people can live there. They make apartments and or whatever it is, or houses, but you know, it becomes like its own. It will become like its own city inside of Manchester. It'll be its like own separate thing. That specific area. I've seen them do it. They've done one here in New York. Okay. In New York City. I'm from New York City. They done it in New York City. I've seen how these things. We have New York City, and inside New York City, it's like its own city within the city. Okay, it's very high end. There's like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and all these high end stores, and you got, you know, the Whole Foods places with the expensive groceries that normal regular people can't afford, and you know, they got the really luxury apartments that regular people can't afford. Okay, and that area was not like that. You know, they took that area over, redid that. All those people that are like middle class, average people, they can't live there anymore. They have to go live somewhere else because they can't afford any of that. And they sort of turned it into like this little city within the city. You have everything there. You don't have to go anywhere else. You have sort of the best in class in that area. Okay, it's upper echelon, rich area, with the best and brand new things, and yeah, all the super rich people live there now, or rent it out, or whatever it is. So, AI would have too many red flags. It's why even to this day they aren't fully trusted. We need to follow rugby TMO. It is clear the referee hierarchy is broken in rugby TMO. I don't know what is TMO. Overrules the ref. TMO refs are usually the most respected and senior officials. Yeah, but what is that? I don't know what that is, because I don't know about rugby, so I'm not informed on that. But what is TMO ref? It's the television match official. It's their VAR. All right, well, fair enough. I don't know how their VAR works because I don't watch rugby. So I'm not sure how their system goes. So I can't really give an opinion on if I agree or not. But I will very much say this: whatever we have now needs to be updated, fixed, changed. It's not good enough. It's got to be made better. You know, I sort of gave out a theory that's like a personal sort of favorite of mine. It's kind of a bit of a joke, but I mean, I think maybe you could do it, maybe. But obviously, yeah, like I do understand that there's a bit blowback or setbacks to it, so it might not work out personally. But one of the more realistic things that I said maybe about VAR is like, I think at the very least make it a bit more transparent. Like, we should be able to, I think at the very least for VAR, okay, we should be able to hear in real time the guy in the VAR room. We should be able to hear him. We should be able to hear what he's saying. We should be seeing exactly what he's seeing and what he's looking at on the screens. We should be hearing it in real time. And both sets of people should be able to hear and see this. Like the people in the stadium, if there's a screen, because I guess not every stadium has like a screen that can do it, but if there is one, they should be shown that so they know what's going on. Okay, and for everybody else that's watching it on the television, we should be able to see that in real time. I think that would, at least to the very least, it would make it less sketchy. Because it's quite sketchy. Like sometimes they don't show you, they used to show us, while they were drawing the lines, they used to show us actually drawing them. Now they don't show it. They don't show you that the line always immediately. Sometimes they show it to you 3-4 minutes later when you're watching on the television, which is fucking weird. Sometimes I even think that the line is drawn not proper. We've seen a couple instances of that when they're doing an offsides, and they take the line, and the line is measured from somewhere, which is like not accurate, and they still call the offsides. So I just think there's like a lot of lack of transparency, and it just, I've been calling it like VAR could have been helpful if it was, done the right way, but it just, to me, just seems like it's match fixing in real time. At least that's how it feels. It does it more often than not feels like they are match fixing in real time, because it gives them multiple opportunities throughout a match where they can have a serious effect on the outcome of a match. And, most of the time it's some guy in a room making a call. He doesn't have to listen. If you make an outrageous and shit call on the pitch, okay, you're going to, at the very least, at least get abused or, blowback by the fans on the pitch. Okay, they're gonna boo you, whatever. They'll call you names. They'll chant shit to you. Okay, you at least have to deal with that pressure, right? Of you fucked up. Okay, but when some dude in a VAR room does it, like, okay, they might do it to the ref, but the guy in the VAR room, they might do it to the ref on the pitch, but the guy in the VAR room don't give a fuck. Like, what's gonna happen to him? What? Some people online are gonna call him a dickhead, and they're gonna say he's a piece of shit. He doesn't fucking care. And they sort of get away with making bad calls, or even stealing games, stealing matches, without any real consequences. And always we're in this story of like, they make a shitty call, everybody knows it, and then a week later they got their fake PR program on Sky Sports with Liam Gallagher and the referee, that VAR show that they do, which is just absolute garbage. And they're like, yeah, well, they did make a mistake. It was it was the wrong call. It was the wrong call. They shouldn't have done it. And then they go play a match the next day and they make an even worse mistake. And it's like, so all you're doing is like, yeah, we fucked up, but we're doing nothing to fix it. We're just going to continue to make really bad mistakes or blatant, shit calls. So, good stuff. I just saw you live. I drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Nelson. Appreciate you. And I'm glad you did. You've been good, man. You came in here. I like the conversation. So I look forward to you joining us, and as we continue to lives. We go live on a good consistent basis throughout the week. Right now the schedule isn't really set, so it's not like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday type of thing. We just sort of pick and choose days. Always after a match, after United play, we're always live after the match. Okay, 100%. Like 99% of the time, because sometimes I can't because work, but most of the time it works out. So we're always live. We do that. We call that the Red Devil Recap, where we sort of recap the match and we give, analysis, player ratings, stuff like that. We break down the match and discuss the match. We do that. And then throughout the week when we're not playing, we talk about, the news or, transfer rumors or whatever else is going on in United. The only thing that is permanent is the time. I don't know where you're from, but we do the show at 8:15 p.m. UK time. I put it in UK, even though I'm from New York, because a lot of the people that first started watching the show, and we do have a large UK audience that, the predominant amount of people that watch are from the UK. So I always put the time in UK. So the time here in this corner, this is my time. So don't get that confused. But yeah, always 8:15 p.m. If you have the notifications on, you'll get notified and stuff like that. So appreciate you following, and Appreciate you getting in here. In rugby, every decision made by refs, include linesmen, are broadcasted to fans both on the TV and the stadium. See, this is what I'm saying. They should be doing stuff like that. It just makes it like, listen, it might not, they might still be shit and get the calls wrong, but like it makes it at least feel a little bit more less like they're cheating. Like, it makes it feel like it's less it's just more transparent. Like at least at the very minimum you could do that. At the very minimum. It won't solve all the problems, but rugby is my second sport, so it's ridiculous that football has taken this long to implement it. Well, powers that be, I don't know. I could get quite cynical over it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. There has definitely been a downgrade in the way sort of the Premier League has been run and implemented things over the period of time. I remember, like for me, the prime of the Premier League when it was probably top was like 2002 to like 2012, 14. Like it was like the best of the best. And then I feel like it's started to slowly go downhill. And now in 2026, like it's like just the fucking, the people that run it is just like they're like a joke. They've allowed it to sort of degrade to a certain level. The quality has dropped from their point. From their running of it, they haven't made good decisions in certain areas, and it's gotten a little bit. It's not like it's not the best league anymore, but it's lost some quality in areas. So yeah, I don't know. Rugby isn't offsides as well, and they rarely get it wrong. Oh, you're from Canada. My buddy's in Canada. One of my good friends is in Canada. Okay. And I know a couple other people from Canada as well, IRL. So, and we're on the same time zone, so it's all good. All right, nice. So, so for us, for you and me, wait, same time zone as me, or same time zone as England? Well, it would be us. If you're on the East Coast, if you're like close to Toronto, you're on the same time as me. Yeah. So, if that's the case, then it's 3:15 p.m. for you. 100%. 100%. But listen, I do gotta go. Okay, we've been live for 3 hours. All right. To be fair, we didn't do a live for a week. So come back. You do one show, 3 hour live. Not so bad. I don't know if we'll particularly be going live tomorrow, but we will probably definitely be going live on Friday, because Fridays are always very chill. It's the weekend. People have off. More people are maybe sort of hanging around before they go out and stuff like that. And, it's people are more late night as well, because a lot of people tend to have Saturday off. So Fridays tend to be good shows. I might pop up tomorrow, but, I'm not counting on it, on doing it. But again, if you have the notifications on, you'll get notified. Because I always schedule the shows at least an hour before. 30 minutes before we go live, you'll get a notification. When we actually go live, you'll get another notification. So, like that, you could always stay sort of in the loop. And we also have a Discord. So if you have Discord and you want to join the Discord, you can just hit that link that's pinned to the chat up there. And, you go right into the Discord, and the Discord is the best way to stay in the loop as well, because we have good chats in there off stream when we're not live, and also it's the quickest and easiest way for me to be direct contact with the community, because I could just type a message and be like, hey guys, we are going live tomorrow at this time, 100% confirmed. Or if I decide to do one that wasn't maybe necessarily was a bit up in the air, I just got to send a message a couple hours before and be like, hey guys, we're doing a show. So, it's happening. So, yeah. But other than that, listen, it's been a very good show. Good to be back. Welcome to the new people. Thank you for the subscriptions, or, welcome to the community. I enjoyed very much, Nelson, 1588. Enjoyed you very much. Came in. No shyness at all. Gave your opinion. Added to the conversation, so it was beautiful. Always looking for more people, man. If we could get a bunch of people like that. You know, we already have a very good small. It's small, but it's a very good tight knit community and very passionate people. And I always say, like, dude, if we could just, if what we have, if we could just like, you know, double, triple, quadruple it, we have the best community because everybody is very dedicated. They show love. You know, I could go missing for 2 weeks. As soon as I do a show, most of the people always pop up, hit the like button, get involved in the chat, give me a couple opinions, spend some time, you know. So it's, you know, the more, and I like that we're building this community the way we're going. So it's slow, it's a grind, but we're doing it. In my opinion, we're doing it the proper way. We're doing it the natural way. Okay. You know, we don't clickbait. We don't do bullshit. We don't bot. Okay. I could easily go and get a bunch of bots. All right. And raise the viewers. All right. That's so easy. A lot of them do it. A lot of these people do that stuff. But I just don't, you know, I want to be organic. I want to be natural. I want to have people that actually give a shit. You know, and have actually like real opinions and have something to say. So, I appreciate it. You mean Good Friday? Yes, I do mean Good Friday. It's going to be a Good Friday on Good Friday. It is Good Friday. So yes. Yes. So listen, thank you guys. I appreciate it very much. Good chatting with you. If we're not live tomorrow, we'll 100% be live on Good Friday. So if you guys are around, even if you come for a couple minutes, you just drop by, you know, hit a like, say something in the comments. Even if you can't stick around for too long and you say hi, that's always fine too. You just drop by, you know, if you don't have a bunch of time, come say hello, say what's up, give a couple opinions and dip out. But yeah, we'll definitely be live Friday at 8:15 p.m. UK. Tomorrow, there's a possibility we go live as well, but it's not 100% guaranteed. So if it's not, it doesn't happen, don't be too disappointed. So if I don't see you guys tomorrow, I will definitely see you guys Friday. If you're around, we will be there. And then we'll see about the rest of the week, how it sort of plays out, and we'll see sort of what we get. But other than that, everybody be good. Have a good evening. Enjoy yourselves. You know, good night, good morning, because for some people in some places in the world, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. So wherever you are, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. Everybody stay safe. Be good. Enjoy the rest of your days or nights or evenings. And we'll see you on the next one. All right. Be good.